Welcome to a very special episode of Hot Takes Tuesdays. Coming up next, about by Mickey Cavill. This guy again. Hello and welcome to another episode of With Enough Prep Time. I'm your host, the Nerd Man, and today, for Hot Takes Tuesdays, we are doing the epic battle of the MCU versus versus DC movies. So I've got a great panel with me. Sathwick.
Hey guys.
Yeah, you've got a channel as well, right? Because I wanted to put you in the description.
Yeah, it's a really small channel. You guys can check it out. Sathwick's Rambles, or maybe I'll put it in the link or in the chat or something. I don't know. Okay.
Definitely do, man. Definitely do. And what do you talk about on the channel?
I mean, I haven't uploaded in a while, but it's just the normal nerd shit. Superhero stuff, movie news. Basically whatever I feel like talking about. If I want to talk about Rocky one day, I'll talk about Rocky. If I want to talk about Captain America, I'll talk about Captain America.
Nice. I have to come on your channel one day, man.
Yeah, man.
So Spectre Entertainment, aka Lantern Alex. How you doing,
You know
bro?
me as Lantern. You know me as the Chosen One. You know me as the bringer of destruction to the MCU, coming from an undisclosed location in Ohio. How are y'all doing tonight?
Very good. And of course, my co-host, frequent co-host, Philosophical Pickle.
What's up, guys? I am actually the Sinestro to Lantern's Lantern, and I'm the only guy here who holds my mic, and I'm going to keep doing it.
You the little freeze, all right? You the little freeze.
So we've got a couple of hardcore DC apologists here in myself and Spectre Entertainment. We will hopefully have some more people coming onto the stream as well to discuss this. But let me find out, what is your positions on the MCU, Sathwick, first of all, versus DC movies?
I am a diehard. Well, I wouldn't say diehard, but I'm a pretty big MCU fan. I mean, I went to Iron Man back in 2008, right? That's what really got me into comics, or Marvel comics, right? I was like 5-6 years old, so I'm a little wee little kid. But I mean, it's really near dear to my heart, and I just have a pretty close attachment to them, sentimental feelings wise. But overall, I feel like Marvel's just knocked it out of the park, and they really had a big generational boom with all the kids growing up with the MCU now, and DC, like, no one really cares about them. I mean, BVS, Man of Steel, come on, guys.
Come on.
All right. All right. Well, okay. I've got some questions for you after, but Philosophical Pickle, what do you have to say about MCU versus DC movies?
You know me, dude. I'm an MCU lover. I've loved it since Iron Man came out. I was not only did I want to go see the movies the day of or the night of, I would want to be the first guy in line into the theater. That's how special it was to me for a while, until the past couple of years. I absolutely love it. I have spent an unhealthy amount of time of my life watching these movies. I've seen the Avengers over 300 times, Guardians over 100, The Winter Soldier over 100. I've seen 4 or 5 of them over 100 times. So much of my life has been spent on watching.
Time you do it?
No, but I know unhealthy amount. Genuinely, I have a problem. But I think the MCU is kind of going in a bad direction. But the past 10 years, I absolutely love it, and I said it on stream last night. Besides meeting my girlfriend and having my 2 children, seeing Captain America lift Mjolnir was the greatest moment of my life, period.
All right, big words. Big words here.
Wait, did you say it's the greatest moment of your life?
Other than my 2 children and meeting my girlfriend, that's the best moment of my life.
Damn. All right.
That's not hyperbole.
Yeah.
I cried.
Okay.
Oh, but I am Iron Man.
It's funny you say that, but considering that scene,
great.
like, kind of didn't make sense. But we'll get into that a bit.
Oh,
later.
Oh, it made total sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense. I mean,
I'm
how did
offended
he
now.
know? How did he know that he could pick up Mjolnir?
He could do it in Age of Ultron.
Come on.
No, he couldn't.
Classic.
They came out and said
Ultron.
They came out and said that
Specifically,
No,
Yeah.
Kevin Feige came out and said he could do it the whole time, but he didn't want to
so
embarrass
Kevin
Thor.
Feige told you outside of the movie, so it's
Yes.
not actually in the movie itself. You
How-
you find out from Daddy Kevin
Yes.
Feige, and
Yeah.
that justifies what's actually inside the movie. Do you think
He-
that happens a
Nerman,
bit too much in the MCU?
He budges
People
it.
have to tell you shit outside.
How many
But
times?
he budges Mjolnir, which shows that he can move it, which is setting up the fact that either he can pick it up in the future or he was not doing it the whole time, which has been confirmed. There's so many times where a director comes out and tells you information.
Zack Snyder with the DCU. How many times he had to course correct his universe with Martha and shit like that?
We'll get into that, but let's do. And I want to hear this response from you about Zack Snyder. But why not just have Mjolnir next to Captain America, and he sees it and instinctually goes for it? Why did he have to summon it from like far away, like to him, like as if he knows he's just suddenly got control over Mjolnir, when clearly he could not pick it up in Age of Ultron?
He picks it up in slow motion and then he throws it at.
He picks it up. It's right next to him.
Instinctually tells him he can summon it as if he's Thor himself.
He throws it's a feeling of worthiness. When you pick it up, you can now, if you can pick it up, you now have the power of Thor. You can control lightning, you can summon it, you can control it. He knows the rules. He picks it up and throws it at Thanos, and it comes back to him. He knew he could do it the whole time because he's motherfucking Cap.
Which movie we talk about again?
Endgame.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like the
that came
MCU nerd, man. To answer your question,
Southwick, do respond about the Zack Snyder thing that you were about to say, and then I'll go on to Spectre and how he feels about the MCU.
I was gonna say, how many times has Zack Snyder come out and corrected his movies and said something to sort of nudge it into the right direction, right? I mean, he's had to correct stuff about Martha and basically.
Can you give me an example?
Like,
give a good example, like the one from.
In terms of something like, I mean, off the top of my head, I can't remember. I just remember him talking about, like, because there were a lot of fans who thought that the Martha stuff didn't make a lot of sense, so he had to sort of backtrack, or he had to sort of go ahead and sort of correct it, or give more backup into why that makes sense. Like, he's done a lot of that in his movies in the DCU. So, like, Kevin Feige doing that isn't that big of a deal, because Snyder does it all the time. And, at least Kevin Feige has come out and he's, when he says Wanda is the strongest character in the MCU, we have an entire show to back that up about why.
That's understandable, though.
I got you.
I'm talking about what the Russos did to explain Infinity War and Endgame consistently. Like explaining Captain America being able to go back into, go back in time, but he's not in a different branch of time like the film explained, right? That's what the rules of the film were. Right. So the Russo brothers come out, explain their version of how time travel works, which completely contradicts what the film told us. But fans are like, oh, you see, the Russos said, this, that, and the other. Right. So that means that explains what's in the film. Well, it doesn't really. The film doesn't tell you that. And it specifically, contradicts it, really. So I'm trying to think. I know Zack Snyder does do a lot of these excuses, which is why I wanted to hear from you about
this
it.
Is not. Hey, all right. Let me stop you there, Mary. This is not a debate about the MCU versus 3 Zack Snyder films. All right. This is about the MCU versus all of DC films. And the DC universe has better films per capita. Period. They also have bad films. Lots of bad films. Lots of great films. Lots of classics here. How many classics does the MCU have? How many great films do they have? A handful?
How many great films?
A handful, maybe? Not even.
9?
Not even.
8 or 9?
9?
Yes. Yeah.
I would love to hear that. I would love to
Okay,
hear
all right. Let's hear from Spectre
I can count
first,
like 3,
and then Philosophical
maybe.
Pickle and Southwick. You're going to
I was answering his easy question.
The classic. Please tell me. So tell me what you consider the good movies, Spectre, and then I'm going to ask you to what you consider the classic movies of the MCU. So Spectre first.
The only classic movie the MCU has is Iron Man. It's the only one that started it all. It's the only one that was that good, all right? The whole MCU rests its entire laurels on that movie.
Those are some fighting words.
The entire universe is based off the success of one Iron Man film. All right? The other good film is Avengers. And that was only good because Joss Whedon, let's be honest, he's an excellent writer. Maybe not a great person. What an excellent writer. Okay.
I'm gonna cry now. I'm gonna go cry.
And then
All right.
you got Thor. I don't even remember the movie. Thor Dark World. Don't even remember what happened. I don't remember half these films. Half of them I didn't watch. Okay? That's where we're sitting right now. This isn't about subjective feelings about movies. This is about which universe has the better movies. Okay? And I hate that shit Zack Snyder does when he explains shit. You don't need to explain, really. I hated it with Justice League. That's why I don't like that film. That's one bad film. BVS, I don't even remember him explaining anything about Martha. I think that was the problem.
Don't let them divide and conquer, Spectre. Don't let them divide and conquer
I
here,
don't
man.
understand where that was coming from. But yeah, K-Dot.
Hello, K-Dot has entered the building, dude. I'm gonna get your opening salvo, but I wanted to ask just Safwick and Philosophical Pickle here. What are the classic movies in the MCU? What would you say are the big time classics?
I mean, Black Panther, Infinity War, Endgame, Avengers. I'm sure you can put an Iron Man in there too.
I said Avengers.
Winter Soldier, Civil War, Ragnarok. I mean,
Civil War
ripoff. Wait, how many years does it have to pass for something to be a classic?
That's where I was going to go with that, Kate.
Well, let's just.
Black Panther is still kind of recent. I mean, it's only
that's
what,
true.
4 years
That's
old.
true.
So
is it classic territory yet?
The question should be how many of them are going to be classics? I think it takes at least 10 years for something to be a classic.
What about instant classics? All right. Movies.
Okay, so classics. Like in 30, 40 years, like how we remember Batman 89 or Superman.
Good shit.
Rogue, you're on it. Dude, we are definitely gonna remember the Avengers. That is a absolute classic, the greatest comic book movie of all time. Comic book movie. Winter Soldier is an absolute classic. Civil War is a classic. Guardians of the Galaxy,
the greatest comic book movie of all time.
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Guardians of the Galaxy is modern day Star Wars mixed with Indiana Jones. Iron Man is a classic, 100%. Infinity War and Endgame as a two-parter, absolute classic.
Yep. Black Panther.
Black Panther, I think it's overrated.
Damn it!
Black Panther's good. It's not great. So I got 7 classics.
I think Black Panther. The edge is the cultural movement, not necessarily like the movie itself, but what like the movie did in terms of the cultural aspect.
I think you could put Black Panther in the classics.
Yeah,
let's throw it on there.
If you want to, because that's pretty up there for the MCU.
Right.
In my opinion, I don't even like the movie that much, exactly. But like I feel like if I'm, trying to go on your level and see what are the best movies of the MCU, I would agree with you there.
Let's not forget we have people. This is controversial, but we had WandaVision, which whether or not you liked it or disliked it, stormed social media and had people talking about it like crazy, theorizing. When did DC have anything like that? When was the last time DC had fans on the edge of their seats trying to figure out, the next episode, even if they hated the show?
The Batman.
Are we talking about TV shows or movies?
Zack Snyder's Justice League, the Batman.
Okay,
you can use MCU TV shows. That's fine.
It's still MCU.
You can use Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's cool, man.
Oh, hell no. I'm not using that fucking show. Fuck that shit.
But I will use Daredevil.
Oh, boy.
I know.
Can you use Daredevil?
Wait. Can I say a quick thing?
Can you use Daredevil? Technically, I don't think you can. Isn't that
the attack on New York is mentioned in the show many times.
But is it canon though? It could be
Sathwick, you're on my side. Yes,
all right,
it is.
I will use Daredevil against the MCU. Don't worry, I'll trust me. Because I think Daredevil's excellent. But if you're going to use that, that's fine. K-Dot, man, let's have your opening salvo, and then we're going to get straight into this.
Well, mind you, I'm gonna let you guys know I'm only gonna be here for about 30 minutes because I got to get ready for work, and then I'll probably be back on while I'm getting ready. I'll say this now, because you titled this the DC. So this is DC Extended Universe versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe, right?
No, it's DC movies versus the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Since MCU has so many movies. No, it was since the MCU has so many movies. We wanted to make it more interesting. That was it. I have no ulterior motive outside of that.
It's a loaded debate.
I want to say this because this is my thing. In my opinion, I feel like we should just pit them against each other, like all of it, like all Marvel films.
That's what I was saying too.
Spider-Man. I mean, X-Men movies. Howard the Duck.
No, you can't do
Howard
that. I'll say why I think you shouldn't be able to do that, right? And this is the reason. They were made by different studios, because it would help their case. But it was made by different studios, first of all. And secondly, the point is, people don't only say that the MCU is better than the DCU. They say the MCU is better than DC. Period. Yeah. That's what they usually say. That's what the usual typical argument online. If MCU fans are that confident in that assertion, let them do it. Let them argue DC movies versus MCU.
Well, I did want to mention this real quick.
Versus Marvel another day. I don't mind, but
okay. Well, for today, I'll say this real quick. If some of you didn't know, Warner Brothers did make one of the best Marvel movies to exist, and that's Blade 1. So hey, I'm just saying it. Yeah, that's New Line Cinema.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. Really?
Warner Brothers made Blade 1. Yeah, even though it's Marvel, that's a Warner Brothers film.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't know that. Good. So we've got Blade.
Nerdman's whole thing about WB owning all these movies kind of falls apart now.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I'm gonna say this. Like, I'm not to be unbiased as possible. I forgot DC films in general versus the Marvel films. Oh my gosh.
Come on, get out. We need space.
Yeah, we're live.
I know.
Which side? I'm just picking side of DC because we probably won't have many DC fighters. I'm gonna go with DC on this side, guys. I'm gonna have to stick with DC over here.
Wait, Nerdman, can we use Big Hero 6 for Marvel? The Disney property. It's also Marvel. I mean,
is it part of the MCU?
We have to do the MCU.
We're gonna use animation. We're gonna use animation.
It's a movie, and we're
gonna use animation.
No, we're not. Lantern, we're not.
We're not
MCU movies. By the way, for DC, I'm not going to be using like History of Violence or something like that. It's only DC superhero movies.
Another classic.
Yeah. So it will only be movies that are specifically superhero kind of movies that I'll do it with it. So there is limitations as well. I don't know about Big Hero 6. If it's part of the MCU, then
it's not.
I didn't even know.
I was just joking. I wasn't actually use that.
But if you wanna make it if you wanna make your argument for why you think Marvel movies should be used in general, I don't mind hearing it out. But I do think.
Well, I mean, I'll give Nerman. I'll give one reason of why I think DC edges out Marvel movies, in my honest opinion. I'm gonna go off score for now. I think DC films have the better score out of the MCU films, probably more memorable. The Hans Zimmer score from Man of Steel, the Wonder Woman, if you want to call it theme score or whatever, the Dark Knight score. And I'll be honest with you, it's very recent. I forgot her name, but the woman who scored the Joker film.
Beautiful.
I think the Joker film had a really great score, especially the scene when Joker was in the bathroom and he was dancing in front of the mirror. Because a lot of those scores from DC are memorable to me, and I can identify. I can identify the names behind the people who did the scores too. Like for example, Hans Zimmer, Man of Steel, and stuff.
Alan Silvestri for the Avengers. Michael, I can't pronounce his last name.
Giacchino
for Doctor Strange, Homecoming, and a bunch of other Marvel movies. I mean,
well, Sathik, this is my thing.
Okay.
I remember this is the only MCU score I remember. It's really the Avengers. The Avengers,
Black Panther.
Like the Avengers scores. Black Panther too. Black Panther in the Avengers score, and that's about it.
Hum the Black Panther theme.
Let's be honest though. Is it really all that good though? I mean, like I don't know if I would put it up against like even the Batman v Superman score. Really, I mean seriously, the score for Batman v Superman is Are you trying to talk? Let's hear it. You think Black Panther score was better than that Battle of BVS?
Did Hans Zimmer do that one?
Or Man of Steel?
Whoever did the BVS score was just somebody falling asleep on a fucking pipe organ.
Junkie XL.
I think the Man of Steel score is better than BVS. But I'm gonna say this: Black Panther score is a very memorable score because the music in that movie is the most memorable to me out the MCU because you had a lot of great people behind it. Kendrick did his album for it. That and just when they're entering Wakanda and you hear that score play going like chup 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 chup, like you remember the sounds and stuff. You remember the stuff in Black Panther. But when I watch Ant-Man, I don't remember the music like that.
It's like a heist
But
thing.
it's not very good though. That's the point.
No,
I'm not trying to be funny about it, but like even though you can remember it, let's be honest about it. It's not a grand epic score that is specifically.
No, man, I'm gonna surprise you whenever it's my turn.
Good.
But it's
I'm gonna ask this because this is a part 2 to one that we did on Ashley's channel, and so that we can really get this debate going, I want to hear from Philosophical Pickle. What did you take objection to in my arguments on that channel? Because I know you were chomping at the bits to get on that stream. So what was it about my argument or anybody's argument that you took exception to?
You said I didn't watch all of it, but I watched most of it. You said some good things, but when you were defending Lex Luthor again, that's when I was mostly I wanted to. You said something else. I forgot what it was.
You like Jesse Eisenberg?
You were saying that Thanos wasn't as good as people said he was, and that his plan didn't make sense. But I got to be honest right now.
Yeah.
It did.
I got to be honest right now. I am mulling over the list that I have written down.
Okay.
And I think it's even. I don't think the MCU is better.
Oh, wait.
Already we've conceded very, very early on.
All right, watch the stream, guys.
Goodbye, guys. The stream's
well, look at this. Listen, I mean, I think the MCU. I can still fight for the MCU because you can fight that it's a more coherent universe, and the other movies are kind of scattered out, and you get a movie here and then a movie here. But man, like I'm looking at it, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, The Dark Knight Rises alone is like the greatest trilogy in cinema. I think.
Yep.
I don't know, like what singularly, there's no movie that I think that beats The Dark Knight in quality. And then Superman 78 kind of started everything. Watchmen is a great film. Joker is a fantastic film. V for Vendetta is a good film. Man of Steel is okay. Shazam is good. Wonder Woman's good. I think that they're literally even. I mean, the Dark Knight is pulling its weight. It's carrying the DC argument on its back.
Let me get this straight. The films are all better than MCU movies, but you think it's equal.
Just two movies.
So you've just admitted that like certain franchise is the best franchise ever, and it's singularly better than every single MCU movie.
The best two movies out of every movie out of all of these
somehow
are The Dark Knight and
MCU
Batman Begins.
Equal.
Yeah.
How is
Batman
the
Begins
MCU
and The Dark
equal
Knight.
then?
Because those are two great isolated movies. The MCU has a bunch of good movies,
no, but they're not isolated. Let's take
but you have two great
movies. You gave a list of classics, right? Classic MCU movies, in your opinion.
Yeah.
Which one of them is better than Watchmen?
The Avengers, Winter Soldier, Civil War, Guardians, Iron Man, Infinity War, and Endgame. No, not Endgame. Endgame's not.
Infinity War.
Infinity War
is better than Watchmen. The Watchmen.
Yep, Watchmen has Watchmen.
Right,
I like Watchmen, but
I mean the comic. Look, if you, it's a version.
Hey, Nerdman, quick thing. Oh, go ahead, Seth. Wait, was Seth going?
Go on, Seth. Go
ahead, Seth.
I was gonna say, if you really want to say Watchmen, I mean, it's meant to be a page, like a complete rip from the comic to screen, and I don't think it does a good job necessarily doing that as its own thing. It's a good movie, but for it being a adaptation of Watchmen, that book, I don't necessarily think it does the greatest job. And if you want to watch a video version, you might as well just watch the motion comic, if anything, because I don't think it does a great job sort of, grabbing the gravity of that story.
It's visually
Oh,
arresting.
man.
Wait
Yeah.
a second.
I'm
It's
having to agree with
visually
Nerdman.
arresting.
Visually, it's all there. But I don't
It's
think that-
visually arresting. Like each single panel of that movie, you can
Yeah.
take as
Right.
almost a piece of art in and of itself.
Right.
The score is incredible. That
Yeah.
opening sequence where they're explaining the history of the Watchmen,
Oh,
fantastic.
fuck Bob Dylan.
Hey, Bob
Can you
Dylan-
tell me a single performance in any of those movies where you have a single performance that is better than Rorschach, that is more that has more passion and more captures the character of Rorschach in
Tony
any
Stark.
of the movies that you've said?
Tony
Plus-
Stark.
Chris
Tony
Evans.
Stark,
Plus,
Infinity War.
I'll even add comedian on that. Okay, go on, Tony Stark.
Chris
Like
Evans.
Tony Stark in Infinity War is like peak Tony Stark because he's kind of jokey, but he also has that he has that like the drama to him. Like fucking Doctor Strange. Stop. Like we have to get. Like I don't know how to explain it. He changes, he evolves. Like he does the best drama plus comedy when he's trying to get the gauntlet off. When he's talking to Doctor Strange about, I don't know what to do. I'm scared. Thanos fucking sent aliens down 6 years ago, and I don't know what to do. Like Tony Stark shows so many levels of comedy to drama to likability to dislikability to teammate that I think that Rorschach and comedian don't really get because they're not really with their team as much, and I think it's a little one-dimensional. I think Tony Stark in Infinity War and Tony Stark in Endgame, dude. Tony Stark versus Cap, when he's like all anorexic and he's like telling Cap that you're a fucking liar, that's better than any acting in Watchmen.
Or not even that. If you want to look at Rorschach as a character, he comes out as super two-dimensional compared to the comic book counterpart. I mean, in terms of what they like, they were just running through the motions. It's not like he was, I mean, I feel like comic book Rorschach is so much more complex, and you necessarily don't want to side with them. But then when you get into the, Watchmen, the movie version, he's like some anti-hero, super like Batman type dude that everyone loves. I mean, am I alone?
Well, I mean, Saturday,
man, I love this shit. You guys are coming for the throat, and you did remind me of Iron Man, and it is a fantastic performance actually by RDJ. I have some responses to that, but I'll let our two other DC defenders come at that. What do you think?
To be fair, in the case of Watchmen, in my opinion, I'm not I comedian to me, because since he was barely in the film, his flashback, Rorschach was the most compelling performance for me in Watchmen, with next to Dr. Manhattan. But I understand what you mean by Rorschach not getting fleshed out as they did in the book, but to be fair, the graphic novel you can flesh out more. Like, for example, in the graphic novel they did things like show us how Rorschach mask came to be, those little things to help flesh out the character, because his mask is a big part, him with that is part of his personality, because like he said as he said in the film, when they took off his mask, he's like, give me my face, like he disowned his previous life. He disowned that life.
Would you say that the performance in that was as strong as Iron Man, as strong as RDJ in the Marvel movies?
No, I think RDJ had, there was so much personality. He felt like a real life person. Rorschach just felt like a two-dimensional, angsty little kid who I like to walk in the rain and think about my deep thoughts and write it in a book. I'm Rorschach. That's what he was. That's what he was.
All right,
Rorschach's great.
I'm sorry.
If you look at Rorschach's character, like throughout the film, this is the thing about Rorschach, right? He's messed up in the head. He had an abusive mother. She was a prostitute. When he tried to defend his own mother, she abused him for trying to defend her and stuff. He had a messed up childhood. Rorschach's motivations in the film was to seek out justice, right? The truth. Sure, he wanted the truth to be known. He wanted the truth to be out there.
Sure.
While Rorschach's motivations of his underlying motivations are a little cryptic, he always made it clear in that movie that he was seeking and searching for justice, searching for the truth in that whole film.
But
look, I understand that this thing, they could have showed more of Rorschach's, like they could have got deeper into his past. They got deep into his past when they did the scene where he made a change in his superhero career when he ran into that person that cut up that little girl and did whatever he did, and he said that line to this dude. Oh dang, what was it? What was that line?
Men go to jail,
A
dogs
man
get
go
put
to
down.
Men go to jail, dogs get put down.
Yeah.
And at that scene, that's where you see that's where they show you his change, because Rorschach, when they first started out, he was when it was the Minutemen, they kind of started out, being actual heroes and stuff, being not campy, but being a little bit more sympathetic, a little, what's that other word you would say? Yeah, a little sympathetic. But Rorschach realized this world does not deserve that sympathy. He went through his motions realizing this world does not deserve the sympathy and that restraint that the world thinks it deserves. Another scene, that scene in the prison when he got locked up and he made it known to every single person in that prison, when he put that grease on that man's face and said, "I am not locked in here with you. You are locked in here with me." I was like, damn.
Yeah.
No fear.
I mean, but you're talking about.
I want to. Sorry, Lantern. Do you want to chime in before I?
Yeah, I just think it's hilarious that we're comparing Rorschach, who was in one movie, to Iron Man, who is in like 10 or 12 of these MCU films. And the only reason you're attached to his character is because you've seen him so much. Let's be honest here.
That's why the MCU's better, baby.
That's why it's
but the
better.
RDJ,
they conditioned you. Because they conditioned you.
Well,
no.
That's right.
Wait. But RDJ was good from the first film, to be fair.
They have trained them to love.
He played himself. What's there to be good? He's played Robert Downey Jr.
And we're talking about just an Infinity War, Lantern, and Infinity War is his best performance. I think
That's a good point. That's a good point. I mean, RDJ isn't that far away from his own self, whereas the actor who's playing Rorschach is actually doing a real performance. I mean, he's put on a different voice. He's got, and he's believable. You believe this guy's a, complete psycho, even though he's small in stature, he's intimidating as fuck. And I want to say something. People are dismissing the comedian, and I'll even throw in
Dr. Manhattan is the second best performance in that movie. Billy Crudup, he's amazing.
Yeah, people
Dr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan, we're going to go into breaking down this movie a little bit, but I'll say Dr. Manhattan is another standout character, but I was also going to say in terms of the villains of the movie, again, what you get is, like, I could put, even for the small time that the comedian was in the film, I can put him up against his actions, the terrible nature of his actions, up against pretty much 90% of MCU villains. And he is much, much better. Like, way better. In fact, I only think you've got Thanos over him. Like, if I'm being real about it, this guy goes in, he's like killing, some pregnant woman that it's his own child, right? The performance is great as well, by the way. That bolsters all of this evil shit that he's doing. The stuff that he was doing in Vietnam, which was just sick. The stuff that he was doing on the streets of America, plus his quotables. He's so quotable in that movie as well, where he's like, what happened to the American dream? Hey, you're looking at it. All of that stuff was just great in terms of who have we entering the building? Enzo. Boy, Enzo entering the building.
I did, Nerdman.
Enzo.
What's up, guys?
Nerdman, I did want to say this because you guys brought it up. Y'all brought up Thanos and Infinity War, and I'm not sure you brought it up, but you guys specifically brought up a dialogue of how the hero should have confronted Thanos's ideology, challenging it, right? And in Infinity War, we had one character challenge that, and that and it was Doctor Strange, right? Now, this is the thing about Infinity War that I wish they could have done that I like that Watchmen did even more of. At the end of Watchmen, you have that scene where Rorschach and Night Owl is fighting Ozymandias, and while doing the cliche villain dialogue, they are literally trying to combat his ideology, combat his plan, and find the flaws in it. And Ozymandias is combating them with words against how, my plan is not flawed, but your guys' way of thinking, you're not wrong, but your guys' way of saving the world is not the right way to save the world. My way is. What I would have liked in Infinity War, that I should have, even in Endgame, but to stay on Infinity War, the scene where Iron Man and Thanos literally locked eyes against each other right before they fought. That should have been the moment where Iron Man should have took that scientific brain of his and started wrecking Thanos' logic. Just see Tony Stark with his attitude, his charisma, and all that, and even his snarky little, his wit, just to see him go against Thanos, rile him up, and literally take down this man's ideology and break it down.
I feel the same.
Wait.
I feel the same about Captain America as well. Captain America had a really, and I don't mean to cut you off. I'll let you carry on. But Captain America had a really good opportunity when he was the last man standing against Thanos to actually, do the Boy Scout thing and go, hey, let me challenge, because I'm not beating him physically. So let me try and challenge this man's ideology a quick minute there. So sorry, K-Dog, continue.
Because that thing about Infinity War and Endgame, physically they couldn't beat Thanos. But maybe there's a chance that you can verbally assault this man's life. Like verbally assault and take down his ideology and assault. But this is the thing. You guys brought it up because I noticed a lot more DC films did do that, like Wonder Woman when she tried to challenge Ares. And Man of Steel, Superman did not do it to Zod. It was his father. But
Batman does it to fucking Joker in Dark
Knight.
Right?
in Dark Knight when they're in the interrogation room. Like if you go to Ant-Man 1, when does Scott Lang challenge Yellow Jacket's ideology? When in Guardians 1 does Star-Lord challenges Ronan's plan? Like, and look, I understand monologuing is cliche. It is. But sometimes, like, you sometimes when you see two characters on opposite positions and you see them literally combating each other's ideology and they're sitting down, interrogation, whatever it is, and you can really dissect each other's way of thinking and go like, damn. So he thinks like this, he thinks like that, and you really get to see, like, how does this man's brain really wire? Like, how is his brain really wired? What makes him tick? Mm-hmm. I say DC does give us more of those moments. The MCU does need to give us more of those moments. Like, just when we just watch WandaVision, like, Agatha, basic ass motivation, and there's nothing for Wanda to combat because her motivation's basic as shit. I want more power. I'm like.
To be fair, we saw that with White Vision and Vision. We saw a philosophical debate between Vision questioning White Vision's sort of motive. But back to what you were saying, like,
Sadly, in reality, that was Black Vision, aka Red Vision, was trying to turn White Vision into his true being. So that's what he was trying to do.
So you guys want dialogue that really doesn't. It won't affect anything because Thanos won't listen, so it's just you want to hear him talk, right?
I think let's just, because I think this is important. I think for two reasons. One, like Enzo, the MCU. Sorry, I just want to, because this is really quick. One, I think the MCU is aimed towards kids, right? And I think in terms of the message, the general message of these kind of films, I think they should be kind of more like, oh, it's not just the guy who can punch hardest who wins. And then secondly, it literally does matter to the story, because you might say, oh, well, Thanos killing half the people in the world, right? That's immediately wrong, right? That's ultimately you don't need to hear reasons for why that's wrong. But the truth is, actually, there is something called, an argument for the greater good, or from the greater good. And Thanos could potentially argue that, the greater good of humanity and all of these different worlds is for there to be less of a population. And therefore, his argument is actually morally valid in some sense. So it is important, actually, for the hero to come back and tell us exactly why, in their opinion, what the villain is doing is wrong, because that's I think what the story is, what Thanos is telling you. He's doing this for the greater good, just like killing is always wrong, but some people can understand the death penalty. I'm against it, but there's moral arguments for the death penalty, even though killing is wrong, right?
Absolutely.
Or there's moral arguments for going to war, even though dropping bombs on innocent people, that's a terrible thing to do, right? But there's a greater good argument there. So if you don't give that argument, in opposition, then you could say, well, maybe the villain's kind of right here.
Yeah, and you know what? I can completely understand what you're saying with that. But what if you get the context throughout the movie where they're already giving what they feel is right? You know, do you really think that they have to revisit that by telling it to Thanos?
Well,
where did they do that?
Guys.
Well,
you guys are way off here.
The backstory with Titan. I mean, that's, But I was gonna say, from a science background, there's legit, and I'm telling you, there's a paper called "Tragedy of the Commons" that sort of backs up Thanos' whole plan about why this makes sense, right? Like this idea of you can just double the resources or whatever. That would just mean that if you double the resources, the population would just increase because there's more resources to sort of give out, and then you have more people, they live longer, and so on and so forth, and they sort of reproduce more. You're just gonna eat up those the doubling of the population at a faster rate. If you were to wipe out half the population, and I'm being Thanos right now. If you were to wipe out half the population, you still have the same general increase of that of the resources, but the population would sort of grow at a slower rate, so the resources would get eaten up less quicker.
Do you see what you just did there, Sadwick? Do you see what you did there, Sadwick? You just justified Thanos.
Yeah.
You just did exactly what I was saying is the problem with the movie, which is specifically why the Avengers need to make an argument for why he's actually wrong. Like they have to have that discussion.
There's a lot of reasons why he's wrong.
Well, unfortunately, from a straight, I don't care about humanity, I don't care about people dying perspective, I mean, Thanos was unfortunately kind of sort of right. Unless there's a moral
Heard it here first.
There's that moral obligation. Yeah, you got to care about humanity. You got to care about. You can't just go around killing half the population. But from a numbers perspective, yeah, overpopulation is a thing. A lot of countries have to decrease the amount of people they have in their country because a lot of the resources are being eaten up. And just doubling the resources is probably just going to double the population or increase the population even more, right? So Thanos had a point.
All right. Well, look, I wanted to say this, right? Because Enzo, you brought it up, or Enzo responded.
Phil Pickle next, because he's been.
This is my thing, right?
Yeah.
This is my thing. Thanos learned his lesson, right? Well, he learned he had to improve it, right? But see, this is the thing. 2018 Thanos never learned nothing because he got killed, died, and he's dead, right? But with his past self from a version of Thanos that doesn't matter to us at all, 2014 Thanos learned that, wow, my plan was dumb and it was stupid. I actually need to wipe away everybody, make sure I get rid of all the people that are lingering and just reshape the universe in my image. Because that's what he was going to do. Well, but see, look, I'm not saying Thanos should have flipped and became a good guy. No, I'm just saying there should have been, like in Endgame, they had the perfect moment when Cap, Iron Man, and Thor was walking up to 2014 Thanos. They could have pried into this man's idea, pry into his head again. Iron Man could have
said they cut off.
Can someone send Andrea the link, please?
Yeah, I could send it to him.
Look, I'm not asking for Thanos to turn into a good guy. I don't want that. That's why I like Endgame Thanos. I like the savagery. I like this savagery. I love that shit. I didn't want him to become some good guy. No. I just wanted Thanos to feel like he was challenged, because it does not feel like he was. I'll say this. Gamora did try to challenge him. And if you remember the scene when Thanos was talking to Gamora on his ship, and you see Gamora challenging him, and he was getting annoyed. You can see on his face he was getting annoyed and stuff. He was getting frustrated because why is this lesser being challenging my ideas? Because Thanos believes he's right. But I was like, you need more moments.
But that was more personal. That was less about
more
about their personal relationship.
It was personal, but Gamora was challenging him, and she was trying to break him down mentally. I wish we had more moments like that. So, in DC films, you get more moments of those where they really pry into the ideology of a character. That's all I wanted to say from that.
But
No,
these
I
are
don't-
Marvel
All right,
movies.
Phil
Phil
Pickle.
Pickle.
No,
Phil
even though I
Pickle.
still love Thanos. Hey, I love Endgame Thanos.
Right.
Can
I
I
love
ask a question real
Pickle.
quick? Who's Marvel and who's DC?
I'm Marvel.
Okay,
I'm DC.
okay.
I'm a DC apologist.
Marvel.
DC
I'm
apologist.
Marvel, of
DC.
course.
I just wanted to make sure I wasn't alone in the Marvel
I'm
side.
Birds of Prey.
Oh hell yeah, Enzo, you're with us.
Yeah. Now, I was
Okay,
gonna
good.
say, but there's tons
We're
of
not
Marvel
alone.
movies. We were getting to the mindset of
Phil
the villains.
Pickle.
Right?
After Sadwick, you can use that for Phil Pickle. You've been chomping at the bits to get in
Okay.
on this one.
As an audience, we know the depths of Thanos' plan. But all Tony knows is fucking Bruce Banner comes back for the first time in like 5 years. He says Thanos is here. He kills planets, wipes out half of the population. He's the motherfucker who sent Loki. Tony says, okay, this is it. The adrenaline kicks in. They don't have fucking time to sit there and say, why are you doing this, Thanos? Dude, they meet him and they literally know. Dr. Strange says he has 4 or 5 of the fucking most powerful stones in the universe. He can snap his finger and just obliterate all of us. Their whole plan is don't let him close his fist. Don't let him close his fist. It is so frantic, and Gamora's the only one who really knows his ideology until Doctor Strange talks to him. But that's just to distract him. Their one goal is to get that damn glove off of him. It's not about why are you doing this, Thanos. It's about this is the guy who sent Loki. This is what has been fucking giving me nightmares. Tony Stark's not going to be thinking, let me talk to this guy. He's thinking, I got to get that fucking glove off as fast as we can. So it wouldn't make it. Nerdman, I told you, I agreed. I would have liked a moment like in the Infinity War comic when Captain America stands up to Thanos and says, as long as there's one of us standing, you will not win. And they have like a debate. But when I think about it, like as their characters in the universe, they're not thinking about that. They're thinking, we got to stop this alien. They don't think about the depths of what Thanos is thinking about.
Yeah,
is he right?
Look, dude.
Wait, can I respond real quick?
They did exactly what all of us would do. Let's not think. Let's kill this bastard.
Well, I did want to say this. Like, the thing is, the characters did have time to, because if you look at Infinity War, Thanos was heavily dumbed down with the gauntlet, right?
Yes, big time.
He was not in the rush like people would say he was in a rush. Like if he was really in a rush, he would have never did a speech to Doctor Strange talking about how my planet blew up. He would have instantly, when he got there, shot him with the reality stone and messed up his body and said, "Freak talking, give me the stone." Like Thanos himself. They had time to, like, especially when Iron Man and Thanos had their little standoff. They had that little dialogue when Thanos told Iron Man, you know, when he told him when he said to Stark, I remember you. When he said to Stark, I remember you, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know my name? You're not the only one cursed.
You know my name, like they had
Exactly.
they had
That's
those
the
moments
opportunity.
to buy into his ideology. They had those
That's
moments.
the only time. They literally have like 10 seconds, and then it's like I'm about to fucking shoot blasts at you. There's no time to say why are you doing this, Thanos?
No. But that, you're
No,
going
but those
on like
moments
that.
he was Thanos was
What's
willing to talk, and this is the thing. Thanos is not no mindless brute. Like if he was a mindless brute, then I understand he wouldn't talk. Thanos is a thinking, sentient
He's
being.
a calculative.
And
he's
see,
almost a philosopher in a way. He'd love that.
yeah.
Why are we
He-
focusing
he's
on
an
this so
evil
much?
philosopher.
He was-
one
he was-
thing in this one movie. We're talking about MCU versus DC as a whole.
And
This
he
is
was
one.
also
This is one little thing that you can nitpick of a great movie.
And-
The fact is, there's not one single performance in the entirety of the MCU that's as bad as Silk Spectre. You can find things that are bad in the DC movies that the MCU doesn't even come close to. That's the point. We're sticking on Watchmen and Infinity War. Let's get to the bullshit of the fucking DC universe. Get out of here, dude.
Stop,
If you wanna talk about-
Southwick. What were you gonna say?
All right, I'm
Southwick.
If you want to get into like sort of the mindset of the villains or whatever, we get that in Civil War. We get that with Black Panther and with Killmonger.
Even
Hell,
Ultron.
Ultron. I was Loki. Every time Thor and
Where
Loki
does it do it with
are on
Ultron?
screen
I don't
together,
remember that.
that entire movie was freaking getting into Ultron's mindset and why humans need to freaking die, basically.
That's
Yeah,
why I wanted to
who-
tell you
who
that.
challenges
they never had a confrontation.
Everyone, they did
Captain
though.
America does.
Captain freaking Jarvis has a confrontation with him. Like
But
everyone.
why is this such a big sticking point though? Do we need a huge confrontation of ideologies between the hero and the villain to make it a good
Nice.
movie? The Dark
Well, no.
Knight and Watchmen are the only two that ever did that. Man of Steel didn't
No,
do it.
that's not
Superman didn't
true.
do it. Batman
That's
'89
not true.
didn't do it.
Logan did do
BVS
it.
did it.
BVS did
That's
it.
the whole goddamn movie's about BVS.
And that movie
You
was
kidding me?
No, it
BVS,
didn't.
BVS.
No, actually, BVS didn't do it.
No, they
Wonder
didn't.
Woman-
better than
Wonder Woman
way
did do
better
it.
than BVS.
There's literally
And
a line.
DC's DC's
Go
worst
into Why
movies.
Lex is doing what he's doing. All right.
Well, we know why,
DC's
but
worst
we don't
movies
know-
are worse than MCU's worst movies. Period.
Well, because MCU's worst movies are like TV movies. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah,
fun
and the
popcorn
DC's
films. And
worst
their best
movies are literal
just fun
garbage.
popcorn films.
Well, look, I'm a.
Wait.
I just want to bring up
Go on.
something that I noticed between MCU and DC. That's a definite some bullshit going on. As many inconsistencies as DC has, Marvel probably has just as many, and the fans never call it out. Now,
Exactly.
I'm gonna give an example. I'm gonna give a big example.
Come on, K Dot.
Yeah, I'm waiting.
It's true.
No,
It is-
waiting. I want the example.
It
I
is
wanna
the
hear-
truth.
I wanna hear it.
It is true because when people talk about
They've
character,
got bigger ones.
There's a reason.
when
there's
people
a
talk
reason.
about character inconsistencies
There's a
with
reason
DC,
why it's bad.
when people talk about character inconsistencies with DC, they never. I'm giving an example of one of the Marvel characters, just one so far. Thor. I'm gonna give a quick example of a character named Thor. In Thor Ragnarok, by the end of that film, the message to Thor from his father was that you are more than a hammer, son. You don't need a hammer to do nothing. You are the power, right? And in the next film, Infinity War, what his father built up to him in a prior film gets destroyed when Thor's whole goal in that film turns into, I need to get a hammer because I am too weak.
Mhm. Yeah.
Even and if I had to go back real quick, I'm gonna jump to Iron Man. I'm gonna jump to Iron Man 3. Iron Man made it a point. In that movie, he was saying, I'm gonna stop being Iron Man and stuff. I'm gonna stop making less suits and all this other stuff. Then literally the next film, Age of Ultron,
He
this
starts
man
out
is
as Iron Man. Yes.
And what
building
happened
more
to
suits, building a suit of armor around the world and stuff. I'm like, you just blew up all
But
these
K
suits.
Dot, we can forgive these things because everything else is so good. The
No.
MCU isn't perfect.
No,
but
that
the
everything
character
else
building
is so
I-
good.
is so
And
good.
I'm gonna jump in here because I want to first of all challenge that you saying that this is unimportant to these kind of superhero movies. Superhero movies, I think, when they're at their best, are morality tales, and you notice that with all the best, the best comic book movies, including something like Black
No,
Panther.
Nerd Man, they're not. They're at
No,
their
they're
best
not.
when they're at their best when you're having fun.
When there's just big action
and you see
people get to fight each other.
and you see the
And
comic
is that
book.
makes
It's
it a
called a
classic?
comic
I love
book
Bad
movie
Boys
for a
as well.
reason.
Love
And
that.
the Avengers perfected it. The Dark Knight is not a comic book movie. It's a fucking police drama with Batman. The best comic book movies are the MCU.
Why do you get to define what a comic book
Dark
movie
Knight really
It's called a
surpasses like, the
comic
majority
book
of
So a
MCU.
comic book
It's a movie about comic books.
movie has to be a bunch of guys having loads of unfunny quips, big
nice trip to your
badly
next fall.
edited
Yes.
action scenes.
Joker-
just
is-
meaning absolutely
Just
nothing,
put that-
having
is-
what are you saying?
A
That
comic book
I don't
Joker
mind
translated
that.
to a
I don't
movie.
mind that because I enjoy it. But saying that they have to be all these kind of big theme park ride, that's a proper comic.
I never
book
said
movie.
that.
Is Joker
So
a comic
what-
book
what-
movie?
Where are you going?
No.
It's
I don't
absolutely a comic book movie. I've read comic books that are very much like the Joker.
Nah, it's
I've
a
read
ripoff
comic
of
books that are like
Taxi
that.
Driver.
There are loads
Yeah.
of DC. There are loads of DC comics that are dark and dramatic, and that the Joker is very much like a graphic novel from DC. I definitely I would say. So
where
you're
were the
saying
comic
Watchmen
book
isn't a
elements?
comic book movie?
No. Where was the comic book elements in Joker?
Watchmen
Watchmen had comic book elements.
The fact it was
Watchmen-
following the Joker in the Batman universe. That's
But
what
what-
the comic book
I mean,
elements
any-
were.
any
It was
film based
following the
on-
character of the
iteration.
Joker and how he became him.
Any film based off any comic book character is a comic book movie. I mean, that's just what I was.
I know. I'm just trying to make an argument for my side.
Joker,
I mean,
You don't decide MCU movies
No.
are the standard for what.
No, so
comic
the
book
Avengers
movies should be.
is the standard for comic book movies.
Blade.
Exhilarating, fun,
Why?
great characters. You had a great time.
Why?
It's the best movie.
So,
Look,
And
Nerd
you
Man,
forget it,
look.
an hour later.
you're a lost
Totally
child.
every
No, I'm
movie
not. I'm
after the
not. No,
Avengers
no,
tried to
no,
copy
no,
that
no.
formula because of how successful that comic book style was. You know, it's not.
No,
It's
because
not.
it made money. That's why people are trying to copy it. It's not because of
No,
That's it.
the inherent quality of the movie. It's because the
Nerd
movie made
man,
loads
come
of money.
on. That movie changed cinema. How good it was.
Because it made a lot of money. Dude,
It made a lot of money
that movie
because
made
it was
$30
so
million.
good.
There would never been anything.
No, it's because
after that, you know what I'm saying?
it's got a broad appeal. But
People aren't
everything with a broad
copying the
appeal,
Transformers
no,
movies.
no one
Yes,
who would
they
Who's
are.
copying the Transformers movies?
people do copy the Transformers.
Who are making
movies.
robot
Are you
movies
kidding
because
me?
they made money? Who's making robot movies because Transformers made billions?
Well,
Nobody. They copy the
Pacific Rim
Avengers because
tried
it's
it,
great.
but that didn't work
What
out.
about what about something like GI Joe?
Most of the
That's
damn
What about it?
Transformers movies were
Transformers.
trash.
not.
That's
a
copying
copy
kinda
of
like Fast and
Transformers.
Furious.
Yeah.
What about the Teenage
And G.I.
Mutant
Joe
Ninja
died.
Turtles? What about
That's
the
just-
Teenage
Based off a
Mutant
cartoon.
Ninja Turtles?
Transformers, based off a cartoon.
Well,
What about the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles by
Based
the
off of
same
a comic
director
book
as
comic
the
book movie.
Transformers? Was that not copying the Transformers formula to see if they can?
Michael Bay was producing.
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah,
One or two
and
movies.
it
Right.
failed miserably.
No, it's not.
One or
Yeah,
two.
and because they failed miserably, they stopped trying to copy the Transformers formula. That's it.
Exactly.
Because
The
it was
reason
trash
people-
formula.
the
That's
reason
why
people-
most of the Transformers movies were trash after the second one.
No, but
Oh,
the point is,
starting with the
any
second
movie
one.
that makes billions, just like Wonder Woman, MCU, weren't interested in doing a female-led movie. They see Wonder Woman's success, they go, "Oh, hey, let's make a female-led
Let's
movie.
make Captain Marvel.
Let's make Captain Marvel." Every time something is successful like that, the studios do it, and it's all about money. It's nothing to do with we've hit upon like a storytelling method that is
Did
so.
you just say Captain Marvel copied Wonder Woman?
I'm saying they made it because Wonder Woman came out.
No,
They made it because
Yeah.
Wonder Woman came out. Yeah,
Well, if you're gonna say that, then they made Wonder Woman because the first Avenger came out.
No.
But-
I'm gonna kind of agree with Nerdman on that. I'm gonna kind of agree with Nerdman
Carbon
on that
copy.
one because
How?
what happened was we did have talks about like a woman superhero movie in phase 1 or 2, but they never did it until Wonder Woman came out. So when they seen that Wonder Woman was successful, that's when they decided to bring out Captain Marvel.
could it also
I
be that
agree
they
with
got
that
a
one.
new
I also
head?
agree.
I
Well,
agree with that.
To be fair, Disney also got a new head. Before in phase 1 and phase 2, they had that one dude who was super against it, and after he left and we got Iger, he was way more promoting of a female superhero movie. So
Well,
I mean,
There's that too, but Kevin Feige promised to
all
quit
right, guys,
if
let's
they
not
wouldn't
all
let him do
agree.
that.
We're here to debate.
No, let's
all
talk about
agree
the
on that.
bullshit DCU movies.
Yeah, let's
All right,
talk about
Why does
let's-
MCU
let's-
exist?
let's-
Here,
Copy
let's-
the MCU.
let's talk
let's
about
have a
Jesse
go
Talking
around.
about the
Eisenberger.
great ones.
Let's have a go around with the MCU guys, and let's have a go around saying what is bad specifically about DC movies.
Oh, it's easy.
They're
90% of the DCEU. Man of Steel is half of a good movie. Most people don't like it. I actually think it's okay. Wonder Woman is their best movie, and it's still just a good movie. They've never made a movie that is fucking incredibly great.
Okay, but let's talk about
Justice
like
League. Birds of
things
Prey.
in
I'm
common.
gonna
things
keep
that
going.
the films have in common.
Justice League is not great. It's just okay. Suicide Squad's trash. Birds of Prey is trash. Catwoman is trash. Superman
Yeah,
2,
but
3,
now
and
you're
4
just
are
saying
bad.
it's trash.
Go ahead.
What
No,
is
no.
the reasons?
Well,
Well, I have a
let's get
laundry
some
list to go through,
let-
nerd man.
Name one.
Let's get some reasons for what about the DC movies
Gal Gadot.
make them.
Gal Gadot, the third main character of your universe, is a trash actress. She takes me out of every scene. Lex Luthor, who was supposed to be the Green Goblin of this universe, is trash. Batman, his whole philosophy is trash. Superman is trash. The core foundation of the universe is trash. Batman 89 is not a good movie. Michael Keaton is not a good Batman. Watchmen has some bad elements in it. There are 4 or 5 old Superman movies that are fucking bad. The sequels to Batman are bad. Dude, the MCU, I will admit this. The Dark Knight is the best film out of all of these movies, period. The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are the best quality films.
And Dark Knight Rises.
That's 2 great
Yeah,
movies,
I'll say it too.
masterpieces, and then a bunch of garbage. The MCU has like 7 or 8 great movies and then a bunch of good movies. So if you equal it out, how many movies are there good per movie that come out? The MCU absolutely wins. Plus, it's a cohesive universe, so you care about the characters more. There's not one performance in the MCU, in the entirety of the MCU, that is as bad as the performances in the DCU. You can't find one bad performance. One performance where it makes you cringe. Period. I can find that all over the DCEU.
I can find quite a few that make me cringe, but good arguments there. I like that. Who should we go? Safwick, you can dunk on the DC movies.
I guess it's a lack of consistency, right? Where the MCU showed that they were committed to sort of following these characters and their stories, DC sort of just gives up and tries to sort of restart or do something new, right? I mean, we look at the difference between, I don't know, why are we getting a new Batman when they could have just sort of built? Oh, actually, I take that back. Why are we making another Joker movie? Why are we making Joker in the first place if, just sort of build off of the hype of Joker, but like it's on its own little thing.
Made $1 billion, yeah.
Well, I mean, it was. I mean, other than that, like, I'm from the first one, not the sequel that they're talking about. But what I'm saying is, like, they're not committed to the plans that they started out doing. They say all this talk and they say, oh, we're gonna do all this. They go off these offshoots and they do these side projects and they lack the focus and they lack the consistency that Disney has with their MCU. Right, and that's really led to their downfall because it's led to sort of the lack of audience attachment to these characters. Audience probably don't give a fuck about any of these heroes. I mean, one character is maybe Wonder Woman, maybe. Everyone else, they only care about them because they're playing these iconic heroes. But other than that, no one really cares, right? I mean, we had people crying for Groot, but no one cried for fucking Superman dying. That's how bad that shit is, right? But
But Groot came back instantly, didn't he?
That's a mic drop right there, Pitt.
And people cried for him. I mean,
again,
that's
It's a mic drop.
All right, great. It is a mic drop. I like all this. I've got some answers back for it though. Enzo, do you want to? And I think Andrea, your team Marvel, right?
I'm Team Birds of Prey.
Oh Lord.
Okay, all right.
What are we talking about here?
But I would have to be on the Marvel side more, to be honest.
And that's
by the way,
saying.
we're going to come back afterwards with our problems with the MCU, so look forward to that. Okay,
so I'll say this. Oh, go ahead, Andrew.
I'll just want to say real quick, I can also point out some things in the Marvel too when we get to it. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say, Marvel's not perfect. They make a lot of mistakes in their movies. Absolutely, 100%. And I'm not going to sit here and say that there's no DC movies that I didn't like better than any Marvel movies. Because I liked Wonder Woman, the first one, and that's 10 times better than Iron Man 3 or Iron Man 2 to be that, right? But it's the missteps with the inconsistency. So you get Aquaman, which was good. You get Man of Steel, which I didn't hate. BVS I didn't hate either, but the mistakes in that movie, Doomsday, was an absolute clusterfuck. That was a mistake because if you watch Krypton, they did Doomsday a lot better than a movie did, and that is a big mistake. When you can watch a TV series and say that they did a character better than a movie, that is bad.
Doomsday's not a character. Let's go. Come on now. What?
Doomsday is a character.
He's a crap character. He's just a
muscle
guy that punches Superman in the face.
Okay, but he was done.
Get over him.
But he was done. He was done better in a TV series.
That's a different Doomsday. The Doomsday in BVS is General Zod. It's connected to the story of the first movie.
It don't matter if you're trying.
Want the cohesion, right?
If
you want the cohesion.
So let me ask you this.
They have that.
So hold on. Let me ask you this. What would be the problem with making Doomsday look like he did in Krypton instead of making him look like a troll from Lord of the Rings?
He morphs into the spiky dude by the end.
Not completely. No, he does not. He still looks.
Some spikes coming out of him.
He looks like a treasure troll in that movie, to be honest with you. He looks like he came straight out of fucking Lord of the Rings. But that to me,
personal preference on his look.
That to me, putting it in there.
Don't go there, Lantern.
Putting him in there.
Let's make Green Lantern's his costume white. Yeah, you would be like, why isn't it green? Come on, man.
Dude, they almost didn't give him a ring until Jeff Johns stepped in. Okay, you know what I'm saying?
Okay, well that's a DC property too. Then
the problems.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying, and I don't deny the problems that Marvel has either. I absolutely don't. But then you go with you get Suicide Squad, which I think the best things in Suicide Squad was Amanda Waller, Will Smith. You know what I mean? But the villain was generic, right? Really bad villain. I didn't like that. Then you get.
Well, I would argue that Amanda Waller is a co-villain of that movie as well. So I think there's two villains to that movie. And I think her actual downfall from her hubris is actually something that's missed in that movie. She's basically, everyone says, oh, well, like Amanda Waller, it's all her fault. But that's the whole point of the movie, that it is all of her fault. And that it's her hubris that leads to this kind of situation that the Suicide Squad have to resolve. And I'm not going to stop. No. I think the Suicide Squad, honestly, I think it is vastly, vastly underrated.
I'll destroy you on this in every facet.
I don't think it's as bad as people make out. I think the people hated it because the Joker was bad in it. That was the main thing. Actually, there were lots of fun characters in that movie. I thought Boomerang made me laugh quite a few times. I thought some of the comedy was actually quite good, and I actually enjoy some of the comedy a little bit more than the MCU movies because it had a little bit of a darker edge to it, some of the comedy in that movie. I do think Harley Quinn was excellent, and I like the way they humanized her in that movie, and showed like there's more dimensions than just her craziness.
Okay, I can agree with you on certain things.
The color palette, the score of that movie is underrated.
Score or the album?
It's not
the score. There's a score in it as well.
Go to Guardians of the Galaxy. You know
it's not a horrible movie. It's really not. You know what I mean? There are some good elements to that movie.
Enzo, I gotta leave now.
No. Hold on.
You're pushing me away, Enzo.
But like I said, there's the villain, and I know Amanda Waller. You can say it's a co-villain. I can agree with that. But the real villain is the Empress, whatever her name is.
I don't think
Enchantress.
so.
I thought she was. I thought she was horrible.
I really don't think so. I think she's more like Doomsday is to Lex Luthor in BVS. Okay. Amanda Waller is Lex Luthor, and then the Enchantress is merely her Doomsday.
No, she's fucking Secretary Ross. Get out of here.
Okay, let me ask this then, because we always, and you guys always complain, and we've done it too, Marvel fans complained about the CGI in Black Panther. You're going to tell me that CGI, her husband or whatever that thing looked good?
I mean,
what do you mean, the CGI of what?
Her husband, her brother.
Incubus.
You're going to tell me that CGI and him looked good?
No, that's one of the flaws of the movie. I'm not here as simping for these movies. I'm telling you what I honestly think. And yes, the movie is flawed, but so are a lot of MCU movies. That's
how many times have you seen Suicide Squad?
I've seen it quite a lot of times. I like it. I actually genuinely enjoy the movie.
You're a sadist.
I want to know what he's smoking.
It's one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life, nerd man.
Because you're being hyperbolic as an MCU fan.
No. If I made my top 100 worst movies, that'll be in like the top 50. It's terrible on every level.
I'd say the same about Captain Marvel. I'd say the same about Ant-Man and Wasp. I'd say the same about
they're just forgettable.
I'd say the same about Thor: The Dark World.
I would watch
Suicide Squad. I would watch Suicide Squad over and over again before putting on Thor: The Dark World again. I even wanted to do research for this particular stream, and I couldn't bear to put myself through Thor: The Dark World again. It is that bad. The villain is terrible. Nothing.
I like Thor: The Dark World.
Nothing in that movie is as good as between Amanda Waller or Harley Quinn's performance in that movie.
The chemistry between Loki and Thor in that movie kills anything with Amanda Waller in Suicide Squad. The chemistry is so good in there.
I don't remember anything.
The part where they're about to take down the villain and Thor's like, "Don't betray me," and then it happens where it looks like Loki betrays him, but Loki was really on his side.
That's a great moment, Enzo.
Absolutely, it was 100%.
I like that
because
the death of their mother is better than anything that happened to Suicide Squad.
100%.
Dark World is better movie than Suicide Squad easily.
Yeah. That conversation Thor and Loki
even
had
the first Thor is better than Suicide Squad easily.
The editing in Suicide Squad is literally broken.
I watched the first Thor today, so please don't tell me about this movie. It is not good. It's not very good at all. It's incredibly boring for almost the second half. As soon as he leaves Asgard, essentially. That whole period during the movie is particularly boring.
The whole
and generic.
reason why Thor got sent to Earth is because to learn a lesson of what he was so arrogant.
I'm not a big fan of the first Thor, so
it's okay. Nerdman, give me 2 quotes from Suicide Squad if you love it so much. Other than what are we, some type of Suicide Squad?
Or Katana, she's got my back.
Katana.
Look at
This is Katana. She's got my back, dude. Rick,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Here's the thing about that people miss is that actually that scene is aping, and all of the Suicide Squad. Maybe you can say it's doing it badly, but I don't know. But it is aping kind of 80s action movies. They are aping the style, the dialogue. If you look at something like Big Trouble from Little China, I think that kind of film,
great movie,
a lot.
You're projecting, Nerdman.
You can say Guardians of the Galaxy projected that more, though. Guardians of the Galaxy projected more of those 80s action movie feels than freaking Suicide Squad. I mean,
you know what that was, Nerdman? They introduced
Guardians of the Galaxy.
They introduced each character. They introduced each character with 2 broken montages that'll give you that get with the flashing. What's the thing if you have seizures if you see flashing lights?
Yeah, which looked
epileptic people can't watch that movie.
Which was an intro, a lot like the comic.
They literally forgot to introduce a character. So he says, "This is Katana. She got my back. Her husband's in a sword. She's with us now." It is such a terrible movie. It's a terrible script. The characters are terrible. The editing is terrible. You don't want to go here with me, Nerdman. You don't want to go here with me.
Let me just say something.
Something.
We're talking about questionably a really bad film of Suicide Squad, right? And you said yourself, Pickle. Every MCU movie is kind of all right. You know what I'm saying? There's nothing great. There's nothing horrible. Those were your words, right?
I said a lot. I said 8 of them are fantastic. The other 16 are good to really good.
Point is.
So there's no bad MCU movie?
There are about 4 of them.
The point is, DC
5.
swings for the fucking fences, and if they hit a home run, you get something like Joker or The Dark Knight, and if they strike out, you get something like Suicide Squad or Green Lantern. All right, I'd rather that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? I'd much rather that than
but you're a baseball fan.
That are loosely connected with some bullshit story they keep coming up with every 5 years, okay?
But as a baseball fan, I would love to see a grand slam get hit, but not if you're batting 160.
What's that mean? What does that mean?
Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo has amazing power. If he gets up to bat, he can hit a fucking 460-foot home run. But he bats sub 200.
They're still paying him $20 million a year.
Guess what? The people like DJ LeMahieu, who hit maybe 20 home runs, about 95 ribbies, but they're batting 350.
Yeah.
350. The batting average is more than the power, than the home runs.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well,
here's the thing.
You love baseball. Come on.
I disagree on the batting average of that as
well. In Lantern, your point you're saying here is that that overall, you basically said it to me. You'd rather get a good movie, every a great movie in your opinion, every 2 years, every 4 or 5 years. Yeah. And overall, how many great movies have they done in the past 10 years, in your opinion?
4.
But it's not just great movies.
No, great. No. That's not the way I'm asking him a question.
They're classics.
How many great movies have they done in the past 10 years?
We got Joker. All right. We got Wonder Woman. All right.
That's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
These are great movies.
Great movies.
Yeah.
That are about something.
Okay. Winter Soldier.
Not about Thanos' crap logic theory about killing half the population, which wouldn't do anything.
Okay. What makes Wonder Woman 2017 a great movie in your opinion?
What the fucking first female solo film? You know what I'm saying? Great.
So that makes it a great movie.
No, Catwoman was.
Wait.
Catwoman was.
So
great movie.
So just the idea of what Wonder Woman is
good too.
Winter Soldier is better than Wonder Woman 2017.
Winter Soldier.
Civil War is better than Wonder Woman 2017.
A team-up movie that has to have like 50 characters in it.
Far From Home.
Justice League is better than Civil War.
Oh, now you're reading.
I'm not. No, I'm not.
Far From Home.
No, I'm not.
That's a stretch.
Dark Knight is better than Civil War.
Far From Home, yes.
Like that's a
I agree with that. because they're very top two
Watchmen is
movies on
better
that.
than Civil War.
No,
That's a team movie.
I haven't seen that, so I can't
I
judge
don't
on
know
that.
if Watchmen
Watchmen
is
is
better than Civil
Watchmen.
War.
In
Civil
my
War's great.
Not
opinion,
in
like
my opinion.
Watchmen.
What happens to that
Watchmen.
movie?
Not in my opinion.
I'll take Watchmen. I would take Dark Knight. You're talking about team movies versus Wonder Woman,
But
which
I'm
is
speaking.
like half
I'm
the
speaking.
budget.
But I'm speaking
which
to
had half the
his
budget.
point.
Movies that
I'm
did
speaking
much
to
more
his
impressive
point.
things.
To the for what he said, right?
Okay.
So Wonder Woman 2017 is a good movie because
It's a great movie.
It's a great movie.
It's a great
movie because it's a woman
It's really not.
superhero.
I think
great
you
movie.
loads
Right?
of reasons why Wonder Woman's
It's
a great
loads of
movie.
reasons why it's great.
I want to hear it. I would
Not
love to
better
hear it,
than
Nerdman.
the 4 movies I named, and now you can tell me, Nerdman, why Wonder Woman is better than those 4 movies. Okay, and then I'll tell you why those 4 movies are better than Wonder Woman 2017. So go for it.
I think it has a really beautiful message at the heart of it. I think the themes are very emotional in the movie, especially when on the first times you're viewing it. I think that it really strikes a chord in terms of the deep heart and emotion of the movie, which I don't feel those movies really have that much of a heartbeat at all. I feel more in the sense that they're just joy rides that you don't really have to think about the message of after. I love a lot of the things that it covers without beating you over the head with it, such as even just little things like racism. It covers in that movie. It covers obviously the horrors of war without beating you over the head with it. It does all things subtly. The movie has stakes. The Wonder Woman saves the village, comes back, the villain kills the whole village. You see the horror in her face as she has to confront her absolute failure. You see the character go from and the one thing I'd say, it's a completely uncynical movie. It doesn't need to inject certain things in it in order to allow you to keep on watching it. I don't want to go on and on about the MCU.
I'm just saying,
humor,
Nerdman,
but
you're giving me
I
a
got
lot.
you, Nerdman. You just defeated yourself.
Nerdman, give me specific things in the movie. Okay, I love the things that you're saying. It sounds very beautiful, but give me.
But Ashley, we just caught him. We just caught him. Ashley, we got him.
Specific things in the movie. I think that
yeah.
The
I
chemistry
got that.
Well,
I will
say,
say,
the MCU movies you just mentioned. You kidding me right now?
Wonder Woman.
I'm saying it's non-cynical. I'm saying it's non-cynical because it has a true hero, someone who is absolutely, an aspirational hero, and it doesn't try and laugh at that or be comical or funny about it. It just allows that hero to exist and be who she is. She goes in there, she challenges those generals about how modern warfare is combated, and that made you feel for the character. That had a universal. Doesn't matter if you're right wing, left wing. In that moment, the way it addressed that point. In that moment, the way it addressed that point was beyond politics. You could understand what she was coming from, of the way the generals just thought of soldiers as just disposable. And that speaks to all of the modern conflicts that we've had in recent times. There's so much in that movie. There's so much weight. I think people forget because they've seen it a few times now. So the impact isn't the same as the first time you watched it. But when she was saying all of these genuinely virtuous moral things, you were actually like, yeah, go Wonder Woman, go, and by the time it gets to the point where she's does the no man's land scene, I was genuinely moved by this character. And I'll say the little scenes as well, just between her interactions on the boat with Steve Trevor, I thought that was incredibly kind of lighthearted and funny, but in a clever way, in a way that isn't necessarily oh, we have to just force some artificial humor into here. It was just a genuine conversation that they were having. I thought the movie was very good. I really do. And I can understand why some people might like Winter Soldier. The action is better. It's more of sometimes it's a bit more of a spectacle. But in terms of the emotion and heart, I think the heartbeat of Wonder Woman is far greater.
You're telling me the Bucky-Steve relationship beats out.
Thank you.
I'm with you till the end of the line. Saving him from the helicarrier.
I think when Wonder Woman's talking about modern warfare and the impact it has on soldiers, and when she's there trying to help every single person, even a fucking horse,
No,
right?
Nerman,
Like she
oh my
can't
god.
stand the idea of people suffering,
But
and
you
she
can
wants to
also-
go in and help them. I find that
Nerdman, tell me
because
when
it
it's
has
my turn.
real world
And-
implications rather than just a personal relationship between
Nerdman,
these
tell me
guys
when
in a
tell me when it's my
fantasy
turn.
universe.
I will be quiet. Tell me when it's my turn.
Okay, be quiet.
Southwick. Sorry,
Yeah.
I had to answer back to that
I was
immediately.
just- well, we deal with those same things with Bucky and his trauma and everything he went through too. So it's like we go through that war trauma with in terms of Bucky's perspective, right? So we
What's
see
the real
that.
world implication?
The real world
What's the
implication.
real world implication? of
Like,
that?
I don't know, PTSD.
Soldiers.
You don't know. You don't know
Thank
because it
you.
doesn't
Thank you.
exist.
Soldiers returning home from war and how they
Did
get
Wonder Woman
PTSD.
Did Wonder Woman deal with that? Did Wonder Woman deal with that?
PTSD.
Did Wonder Woman film deal with that as well?
Kind of.
Not to my knowledge.
The Irish did.
What-
not
what's
the-
do that? BVS. Did
The Scottish
BVS
guy,
did it.
the Scottish
we'll
guy
talk
with the
about
gun,
BVS, won't we?
that didn't deal with
Best be
PTSD.
sure.
She didn't say who will sing for us, Charlie, encouraging him still, even though he had PTSD. That didn't happen in the film. You didn't see that.
I felt it more. I had the connection
right.
with the PTSD, with traumas of war
With
from
a
Winter
brainwashed
Soldier
guy.
with
A
Bucky.
brainwashed guy.
Yes,
And Bucky.
yes, a brainwashed guy.
A brainwashed guy who
character.
doesn't speak.
He didn't have to speak, and he does speak. He did not have to speak in that film to be effective. Okay,
It's
to
always
understand exactly, to feel the pain that's within inside him,
Winter Soldier's
to
like
see
above,
the darkness
above like
that's
most
within
of
him. He didn't have to say anything.
We're very unpopular. You guys are winning these guys over anyway. So
Okay.
well done.
Yeah,
for like
absolutely.
your-
Civil War.
Not just sheep.
I love
That
that.
whole-
I need that, guys.
The best moment in Civil War, the moment that kills anything that happens in Wonder Woman 2017, is when Tony looks at Steve, looks at Captain America, and he tells him, he says, when Cap says that he was my friend, and he says, and I was your friend too. That whole fucking moment, that whole everything in that moment is better than anything, any emotion, anything that I could feel. Civil War, and I believe it. Okay,
I think when Steve Trevor
and
died,
I believe it in that moment. No,
pretty fucking emotional to me.
It was emotional.
I was really.
It was
emotional
emotional
over that.
because of Steve Trevor.
I must have felt sick during that part.
Okay, so you said nothing in the movie. You said nothing in the movie compares.
I said compares. It doesn't compare.
All right,
It doesn't.
well, I think it compares.
You
It
know why?
moves me
Because
more.
both of these people in this scene, and also Bucky standing in the background, and he's not speaking in that moment, right? In the look on Bucky's face, the shame on his face once it's revealed to Tony what he did to his parents.
Can we mention that this is one of the top 5 MCU movies, right? This is a top 5 MCU movie versus Wonder Woman, right? We'll agree with that, right? It's a top 5 MCU movie.
Of these films,
that most of the MCU movies don't contain anything even a quarter as emotional as the
not considered a solo film. Okay, it's not okay. It's still Captain America's story at the end of the day. Okay, it's still how does these things that happen within Civil War affect and change Captain America, and then how does that affect the Avengers? Yes, moving forward. But it's still a Captain America story at the end of the day. And I think it does a better job telling this story for Captain America than Wonder Woman 2017 does for Wonder Woman. Okay?
Civil War is hands down better than Wonder Woman. Absolutely.
Double the budget, right?
Okay.
More.
That's not the point.
The budget doesn't matter.
The
budget doesn't matter. The
it's
amount of
only,
actors.
It's only arguably a little bit better
the more
than
characters.
Wonder Woman. It's only
no,
arguably
it's
a little bit
no, it's
better
not.
than Wonder Woman. Plus,
No.
it's arguably the best movie
Budget
in the MCU.
doesn't matter. Budget doesn't matter.
Wonder Woman beats nearly
doesn't matter
every single movie in the MCU apart from that.
Wonder Woman
is
pretty
much all of the solo movies.
Does not. No, it does
Beats
not.
pretty much
No,
all
it
of the
does
solo
not.
movies.
No.
The solo character movies. Does it beat
not.
Captain Marvel?
Listen, I got 5%.
You
on my
picked the
phone.
worst one. Of course it beats that one.
It's about
Does it beat Captain Marvel?
Well, here's
Does it
the
beat Ant-Man?
Which is better, Birds of Prey or Captain Marvel?
Wait, guys, Lantern's phone's about to die. You want to get your last words in,
100%
Lantern?
better than Captain Marvel.
Hey,
Oh,
what
we wanna play
MCU
that
movie's
game.
better than Joker? What MCU movie's better than Dark Knight?
The Avengers.
The Avengers.
What movie's better than Dark Knight? A lot.
And the Joker.
None of them.
I would still put the
Civil
Dark Knight
War.
over
MCU
the
movies
Avengers.
have
Civil
won
War.
Oscars for Best Supporting Actor or Best Lead Actor. Any of them? What are we talking about here? You know, we're talking about fun movies versus, you know, Academy Award winning movies. Movies that are going to stand test of time. Now, we're talking about DC as a whole versus MCU movies. That's what the debate is.
So two movies.
And not only that, let me say this about Joker. Joker didn't have to be a Joker movie. That could have been that movie to me was a movie about someone. That movie to me was a script that they had. Hold on, there was a script that Hollywood had about someone with depression and going through all these things, and they said, "Hey, how can we make money on this movie? Oh, let's slap the name Joker on it, make a few rewrites, and boom, you got Joker." But that's not a typically Joker movie.
Okay. So are you trying to tell me? Are you trying to tell me by the end of the movie where he's going, hey Murray, and doing all of that stuff in the interview with Murray, that wasn't the Joker to you? That wasn't a great version of the Joker?
I'm not saying it wasn't the Joker. What I'm saying is that movie was written as another movie, and they made adjustments to make it to a Joker movie.
So they made adjustments, but at the end of the movie, when he sat there in full Joker regalia, was that one of the best performances of Joker that you've seen?
Okay.
No, I think Heath Ledger still had the best Joker.
Yeah,
I said one of.
Who are we comparing them to?
Really
Heath Ledger and fucking
Adam West.
Okay, so if that's the case, it does not touch Jack Nicholson.
Nerdman question.
What?
No,
is Birds of Prey? Is Birds of Prey?
Jack Nicholson was the most
Birds of Prey a Birds
Joker
of Prey
ever.
movie? Is Birds of Prey a Birds of Prey
Absolutely
movie?
not.
Oh, really? Because in the last 5 seconds of the movie,
Right, exactly.
they team up and we see them as the Birds of Prey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's some bullshit I can say.
It was called Harley Quinn and the Fantabulous Emancipation.
Oh,
sorry, it was called Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation. So Harley Quinn was obviously the focus of that movie.
Because they changed.
And I'm not here to defend. I'm not here to defend Birds of Prey anyway.
Of course not.
Of course not. I think Birds of Prey is an influence.
Joker.
But then if you're going to compare Birds of Prey, then you can't bring up.
You're telling me that the last 5 seconds of this movie makes it a Joker movie. Me and you've had this conversation before. So I'm asking you right now, okay? Because and if we got to take it all on, you got to take it on because Birds of Prey is a freaking DC film. Okay,
yeah,
so we're gonna talk about Birds of Prey. You can't like put it in the back burner.
Exactly.
Ashley,
if I really want to bring up Catwoman, we can bring that
up.
Exactly. Because you're bringing up Captain Marvel. So if you're bringing up Captain Marvel, we can bring up Birds of Prey. We can bring up Catwoman. We can bring up all these movies.
Show the heck.
So the point I'm trying to make is the last 3 minutes of a movie. Let me finish this. The last 3 minutes of a movie doesn't make a Joker movie.
Do you want me to answer the question? Would you like me to answer the question? Because you've answered the question for me. Okay, first of all, the Birds of Prey are actually in the movie. It's an origin story of the Birds of Prey, so it's how they're getting together, and they technically are in that movie, you know, quite a bit. But let's forget about that. One thing I have to make very, very clear is I am not trying to justify the management of DC movies at all. I think the management of DC movies has been absolutely disgraceful. That being said, have they stumbled upon, during the madness that is their management, great classic movies nonetheless?
That will stand the test of time forever.
Absolutely, yes. And that's the whole point here. So whether, you know, okay, they had a misfire with Birds of Prey, and I completely admit it. And part of that misfire was them trying to actually copy the MCU and become more like the lighthearted, like overly the comedy kind of stylings and whatever of the MCU. And they tried to do that with Birds of Prey, except make it R-rated. And they thought that would work for them. It was. It's the most.
Why are you not answering her question though?
What's the question? Well, the question
You're
about
saying a
whether
lot,
it's a
but
Birds
you're
of
not
Prey
answering
movie.
the
No. The question
Whether it's
was,
about whether
the question was, does the last 3 minutes of Joker make it a Joker minute? That was her question.
Because that's
no,
basically
the
your
whole
point.
movie makes it a Joker movie because
No, it
everything he's
doesn't.
No, it
doing,
doesn't.
No,
it does
everything,
not.
everything
No,
he's doing
Well, look,
does
I'll say this.
everything he's doing.
We don't know the
Go.
Joker's origin.
Wait, go ahead, Nerdman. Finish up with
Yes,
your
we
guys.
do. Yes, we do know the Joker's origin.
They
All
have
right,
7 different ones in the
K-Dot, I'll
comics,
say
man.
this and then
The
speak. Everything he's doing before, leading up to him becoming the Joker and donning the actual Joker suit, I see so many moments in that movie where he's making all of these kind of dark jokes that are twisted jokes that the Joker would make. So there's things leading up to that. Even when he's confronting the little short guy and the guy who gave him the gun, you see the element of like the Joker where he's like he plays the joke on the little guy, right?
Joker.
So there's moments in that movie all the way through, seeded through, when he confronts Bruce Wayne at Bruce Wayne Manor. There are moments seeded through that where they're developing a richer, more psychologically compelling take on why the Joker might become the Joker. And yes, all of it I feel was justified. K-Dot.
Well, look, in the case of Joker, this thing with villain characters, right? Even Joker's an origin film. Now, if the premise of Joker was that it was a Joker movie where Joker was established as Joker already, and you only get Joker at the last 3 minutes of the film if it's established Joker, makes sense. But it was an origin film. Now, look, in origin films, you may get the character halfway in the film. You may get them in the first act, the second act, in different cases. But this is an origin film of how Joker is going to become Joker, right? And that's why I was able to accept it, because it was an origin. If they marketed Joker as a film where this is an established Joker and he's already Joker, and you only show Joker in like the last 20, 30 minutes of the film, then I'm like, what the fuck am I watching? He becomes Joker at the end of the film. He becomes a villain at the end of the film. Yeah, they make you feel bad and sympathetic for him, but he becomes a villain at the end of the film. When he decides to kill Murray, he instigates the riots, he kills that woman at the end, he becomes a villain at the end of the film. He becomes the start of he becomes the start of a person that could oppose Batman in the future. Now, this thing, I don't know if they're going to continue Joker. There's rumors of Joker 2 being continued, but this is the beginnings. And we don't know what path this goes in, because this thing, I don't know Joker's origin. Joker has no official canon origin, so I can't even argue against how they went about this film, because Joker in the comics, he has no canon origin. I mean, people say Killing Joke is a canon origin, but he has no canon origin. So the way they went about this film in this fashion, I had no issue with it. And I had no issue with Joker being in the last couple of minutes of the film. I would have been pissed if there was no Joker and no Joker makeup in the film.
Problem with that is at the end of the movie, you're not really 100% sure if everything happened or if it was just in his head.
And that's the thing about Joker. You don't know what's going on in his head. He's unpredictable. We don't even know if half the stuff was true or not. But at the end of that, at the ending, until we get a sequel, we will never know what was fake and what wasn't. We know Zazie Beetz was fake. We know Zazie Beetz was
fake. The relationship with her.
That skinny anorexic nigga was not gonna give no badass looking Zazie Beetz. We already know that. He ain't getting with those Zazie Beetz. But there is stuff that is like when Joker did things like kill Murray in that movie and those riots and Bruce Wayne's parents dying, that stuff did happen. That the Joker riots and his parents dying, that did happen.
Right.
I think there's more things that did happen for sure. We know he became Joker for sure in the movie. It's just that the journey to there was complicated because we don't even know Joker was in his right head throughout the whole movie.
Can I jump in here, Nerdman?
Yeah.
So I agree with you 100%. It is 100% a Joker movie. These other people, what are you guys talking about? It's 100% a Joker movie. But I will ask the question: if there was a movie about a guy, about Bruce Wayne growing up, and we see his whole life and how he becomes Batman, and he's only Batman for about 10 minutes, is that a Batman movie? I would say no. So maybe it's not a Joker movie, because that we would say that's a Bruce Wayne movie. I'm trying to like ask that question, but I think for this movie, he 100% is a Joker movie. I want to get back to fucking Wonder Woman, nerd man. Like,
Okay.
let me go back because this is the whole point of this. I think Wonder Woman is the best of the DCEU. It is the best movie they have. I think 100%. Either that or Shazam. One of those two are the best. But I think Wonder Woman, hands down, is the best DCEU movie. But still, you were talking about how deep it is. Dude, the theme is literally war is bad. It's not about like fucking soldiers coming home and all, like the deep themes about what it is to be a soldier. It's war is bad, and we need to stop being warmongers.
That isn't the theme of the movie, but
there's
anyway,
it's a generic fish out of water thing that we've seen 100 times before. There's fucking too much slow mo. There's too much slow mo.
It's Wonder Woman's origin story.
It's generic.
Wonder Woman's origin
fish out of
story.
water.
Do you want
like
them to change? Do you want them to change the origin story?
Wait, let me finish. You can rebut all of this, nerd man.
Okay.
It is. I've seen this done 5, 6, 7 times better in films before. I've never been here before. What is example. That? Let me. I don't know off the top of my head. Are you kidding me? Like there are thousands of movies out there. I've seen it done.
Superheroes. Give me an example.
No, I'm talking in film. Period. You're acting like it's this incredible
in
film.
MCU, I've seen every single MCU.
Thor did it first.
Ant-Man.
I've
seen heist movies done
Thor
better.
did it first.
I've seen
I'm not saying Ant-Man is this fucking masterpiece. This deep intellectual masterpiece.
I didn't say Wonder Woman was a masterpiece.
Dude, yeah, the way you were speaking about it.
MCU movies.
You were speaking about it if it's this intellectual masterpiece of it's way up here below.
I said it's emotional. I thought it had
the
a lot
MCU
of heart.
trash.
That's what I said.
Let me finish the reasons why it's not good. It's a fish out of water movie, which we've seen. You can agree 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times in movies before. The villains, the things that you say that connect the heroes to the story are absolute trash. Dr. Poison and that other guy that I don't know his name, they are bad villains. Gal Gadot and the fucking anchor of the movie, the main character is not believable as an actress. And that is the absolute best that the DCU has. Wonder Woman, I just looked on my list, is the 13th best MCU movie at best. DC can't even sniff Marvel's nutsack. It's literally about as deep as a fucking water bottle. It's no deeper than fucking Ant-Man or Captain America Civil War. It doesn't have all these themes that you say it does, and that's the best of the DCEU. That's the best of it. It's just okay.
Wait. What are we trying to say? That scene with the general didn't happen? Like where she confronts the general.
Yes, where her accent is like this and she can barely speak English, and I was completely taken out of it.
So
yeah, that did happen.
You are against people with accents. We all
no, because I'm against people who are bad actors.
You're against foreign actresses. I understand.
Nope. If they have terrible accents.
No, it's okay. That's fine.
And also, you said out of your mouth, you told me no, Ashley. Earlier, you weren't here, but he said the Avengers isn't the best comic book movie because it's too fun, it's too lighthearted with big action. But then you were like, I love Wonder Woman. I love Wonder Woman because it's not cynical. Come on, nerd man.
Did I say that?
Yeah.
You said it's not cynical.
A place where I said it's the best. When I say cynical, I mean that there's a cynicism in the sense of that for you to enjoy a kind of hero, or sorry, for them to portray a hero who is aspirational in the way that Wonder Woman is supposed to be, whether you say it fails at that or it succeeds at that. For you to enjoy that, they always have to undercut it in some of these movies with a bunch of silly kind of humor that doesn't come straight from the actual character themselves and what they're actually doing. So that's what I mean by that. And I'm not, to be fair, I'm not trying to say the MCU necessarily, has done that as well. You look at Captain America. I think for the most part, they stay away from that kind of humor as well, which is why Captain America is one of the ones I like. But still, I don't think if Captain America is trying to do the same thing as Wonder Woman, as have an aspirational hero where you actually kind of emotionally engage with the story, I don't think it does it as successfully. I'm sorry, because I suppose the fantasy elements of it are so much that it's not really World War II. It's not really the Nazis. It's not.
Wonder Woman is
It's
a part
not-
of your movie, and it's not fantastical, dude. There is a scene where she meets Steve Trevor for the first time, and it's supposed to be this moment where they're meeting and great dialogue. And there's a fucking penis joke about, ooh, you have a penis? Like there's stupid jokes that undercut the fucking moments in Wonder Woman 2. You're just you can't get away from the fact that you love Wonder Woman, and that movie hit it for you. It hit it perfectly. But Thor did Fish Out of Water better. Captain America did World War II better, and the MCU as a whole. Dude,
World War II,
I can
World
pick
War
this
II
apart.
did not have laser guns and laser tanks, and
They didn't have Wonder Woman either.
Wait, guys.
We don't even know what
Wait,
Wonder Woman is.
Hold up, wait. Let me address something.
I
real
think
quick.
it's
Wait, let me address you guys. Wonder Woman 1 is World War One. Cap First Avenger is
You're right.
World War Two.
You're right.
That's just
yeah.
I don't want you guys
You're right.
confusing it. I don't want you guys confusing it and thinking.
No,
it's-
I'm
Same
not- I'm
thing,
not-
right,
I'm not-
guys?
I'm
Come
not
on.
confusing it.
Germans are the bad guys.
I'm saying by Wonder Woman actually existing in something that was at least a closer facsimile to what World War One, looked like, and the technology and stuff like that, it had a greater impact because she was dealing with real world issues. Captain America was dealing with I don't know what. It was like it wasn't really the Nazis. You don't even mention you don't mention anything about like the Jews or the camps or anything like that. It's literally him facing some fantasy. What's it called? What are they called? It's basically Hydra. They essentially take over the Nazis, so that it's not even
in Wonder Woman,
even him facing.
Okay, so what was
in Wonder Woman?
It doesn't have as much.
Ashley, let me address this, and I'll let you go, Ashley. In Wonder Woman, it's fucking shown that Ares was making war the whole time, and she has to fight him in a CGI battle in the third act.
Wait.
The last 20 minutes of that movie is garbage. Garbage.
Ares was not forcing it. This is the thing.
Yeah, no, he was behind the scenes pulling the strings. They said it. He made hate each other.
Wait. This thing Ares did. Ares just talked into people's heads and just gave them ideas. He was not forcing nothing.
But he was the reason World War I was happening. He was just like the Red Skull. It was a big reveal where he, like the Red Skull, takes off his face and he has a red face. He comes out and he goes, "It was me the whole time," and she has to fight him in a CGI Zack Snyder ugly dark fight, and it's terrible. It's not about how you start; it's about how you end.
Yeah,
and the final act of that movie is terrible.
I think the third act, really, the strongest element of that was the Steve Trevor sacrifice.
Yeah,
so
that's a good scene.
In terms of the third act. And then you have the confrontation. Actually, Wonder Woman, I don't think Ares was the strongest. Ares wasn't the strongest villain. It isn't that bad.
Ares was about as deep as Malekith from Thor 2.
She confronts his philosophy. I think he's there as a philosophical counterpoint to what she stands for. And
you're in a philosophical pickle right now.
He functions perfectly adequately.
No, he's saying war is good, and she literally goes, "War is bad." That's what the movie is, nerd man.
No, it's not quite that. But anyway,
no. Sorry, all right. No, let me explain. Because this was the thing, and this what Ares in the film. His whole thing was that Ares wanted to prove to Zeus that his creations is not as good as Zeus made them out to be. So what Ares wanted to do was not instead go in there and force himself into things like Red Skull and the Nazis, like really in the trenches doing stuff, actually making things happen. He went in there and just gave people ideas. Then the people themselves took these ideas, amplified them, and did radical things with them. He wanted to prove that the people themselves, they're the reason for their own ruin. He wanted to prove that. And that's what he wanted to prove to Zeus. Even though Zeus is dead, that's what his whole thing was. But he was not involved like Red Skull was when it came to World War II.
Yeah,
but
he's better villain.
He's pulling the strings.
You just told me Red Skull is a better villain.
He's not a better. I'm not saying Red Skull wasn't.
No, from your point, all Ares does is whisper in people's ears. What was the point?
What did Red Skull do? He ain't do nothing.
No.
Red Skull ain't even a good villain like that.
K-Dot. What did you just say?
I was
Red Skull was more involved, was more of a villain, was more hands-on.
I never said Red Skull. Ares was still a villain.
Repeat what you just said. Repeat what you just said.
I'm trying to explain that Ares was trying to prove to Zeus that his creations was flawed and that there is issues with his creation. So what he did was he wanted to go down there, implement ideas, put ideas in their head, and see what the humans would do with it, and see if they would do anything radical with it. And he was proven right because the humans started World War I. He was trying to prove to Diana that Diana, we can make this world a better place. Let's get rid of all these people and rebuild this world.
And what did you say? No.
I'm just explaining how Ares.
But what did you say about Red Skull, though? Because that's not everything that came out of your mouth.
Red Skull was a little bit more involved. I'm not saying he's a better villain because he's not even a memorable villain.
So more of an impact than Ares was.
Come on.
He was a more impactful villain. He affected the story in Captain America First Avenger.
So did Ares. Ares affected Wonder Woman's story too.
You basically, he whispered in some people's ears, right?
Yeah, it impacted.
He's revealed in a 4-minute montage at
the very end of the film.
It plays into the journey of what Wonder Woman has been going through from the beginning of the film, because it's her experiences in the war that teaches her that what Ares is saying is absolutely wrong. He's been radicalized by his own, hatred, by his own hatred towards humanity.
Oh my God!
She has experienced through Steve Trevor and through the group that she's with, that humanity is worth saving. That they have got like a side of It wasn't as
then
black
she
and
abandons
white.
them for 100 years.
It wasn't as black and white, right, as she first thought. But actually, she still knows that through Steve Trevor, through his sacrifice, through all of the people that she's been with, that humanity is complicated and there is a good side to them. And
what was his sacrifice again? He crashed the plane.
He blew up. It
wasn't near as good as Cap's. Cap saved states.
I think
America.
Yeah.
Dude, and then she literally says violence is not the answer, and then she beats Ares with violence. That movie doesn't know what the fuck it wants to be. That movie is inconsistent.
Steve saved countries. What are you talking about? They was gonna drop that gas all over the world.
I'm sorry, I genuinely forgot. I've only seen it twice.
Steve saved countries.
Dr. Poison.
Steve saved countries. That was World War I. Steve saved countries.
Okay, I genuinely forgot. I don't remember.
Steve saves countries.
He allowed the armistice.
Okay, that was a great moment.
He allowed the armistice to basically go through.
They both saved continents, countries. They saved a lot of people.
But what about the thing about violence is bad, but then she beats him with violence? And then humanity's worth saving, then she abandons them immediately after because her boo that she knew for a couple days died. It's a not great movie. That's what I'm saying. The best that DCU.
That doesn't happen until BVS. But in Wonder Woman 1, she doesn't. They don't give you signs that she abandons humanity.
I'm talking about the universe, K-Dot. Her character in the universe is more inconsistent than any character in the MCU.
Starting at BVS, she abandons people. I don't agree with that shit. I hated that. But in Wonder Woman 1, which doesn't even feel like it's this thing, Wonder Woman doesn't even feel like Patty's Wonder Woman does not connect to Zack Wonder Woman because the way he set up Patty set up Wonder Woman was that
end of the movie.
Well, was that she had faith in humanity, she believed in humanity, and that she was willing to save humanity. Now, was that
DC's worst?
Didn't Zack Snyder help write Wonder Woman?
No,
he was.
He has story credit.
He's a producer. He's a producer.
Okay.
It's a story credit. He was there for 3 days. I found out.
He didn't write the movie, but he has story credit.
Hey, Kata, what was the beginning of Wonder Woman? What was the intro to Wonder Woman? It was in direct correlation with BVS. That movie.
No. The intro to Wonder Woman was Hippolyta giving a lesson.
No, intro to Wonder Woman was Diana getting the photograph from Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, getting a photograph from Bruce
that
Wayne.
Movie, the point that you were trying to make earlier was like this movie is not connected to the other DC movies.
No. It is connected, but Patty's version does not connect to what Zack Snyder was doing. Because by the end of Wonder Woman, what? No,
they're still connected. Maybe the visions don't line up.
Yeah, the visions.
But these films are very, very much connected.
Yeah,
I'm not disagreeing that they're connected. I'm not disagreeing with that.
But that's what you just said.
I'm not disagreeing that they're connected. But Patty,
you just said that they were not connected. Okay, I mean,
I'm not. Like it wasn't connected.
Right words, it felt like the divisions are not connected, and it feels like they're not connected.
Wonder Woman is a good movie. I can admit that.
Connected because
Wonder Woman's a good movie.
Actually, is two different Wonder Womans. They're two different ones. Because by the end of Wonder Woman 1, Wonder Woman 1, none of that BVS stuff does not line up to it. Because in that movie, Gal finds faith in humanity because of what Steve did. Steve's efforts helped her gain the faith in humanity again. So she has no reason to dish humanity. No reason at all.
So she basically lost belief in humanity for 2 minutes.
Technically,
he gets in the plane, he does that, and then 3 minutes later, she's back on and believing in humanity.
It wasn't.
I mean, she didn't question humanity for 50% of the film, not even 30%. There's a beat in a moment
because
hold on, K-Dot.
Okay, finish up.
Beat in the moment where she's like, "Oh, they're doing this. Ares, I killed him, and but they don't stop fighting." So that's in that one moment she starts to question. Oh, maybe it's not as like Nerdman said, black and white.
Because
and so then a beat later, he's like, you know what? I can save today, but you can save tomorrow. So when he gets up in that plane and he sacrificed himself 2 minutes later, so we get like a minute of her question humanity, and then 2 minutes later she's back on.
Why do you need more than a minute?
How is that
why do you need more than a minute
or a feeling? Because you're making this big point about how she questions humanity, and it's literally
it gets across in a scene. That's good.
No.
The point across in a great scene between her and Steve Trevor.
It doesn't hang in the movie because the whole third act of the movie is rushed to get through.
I don't understand why.
Because if we're talking about big moments in this movie that matter, I feel like we need a little bit more than a minute, okay, before she's already pivoting and turning to go back. Oh well, you know what? I believe in humanity again. Really, Nerdman. That's all I'm saying.
Look, I don't. Let's talk about the things
that happen in Civil War. Okay, with Tony.
Let's talk about the character journey of Captain America. Let's talk about the character journey of Captain America. Where does he change in the whole movie?
The point that I was trying to make, Nerdman. See, there you go.
Nerdman, check your backstage.
My point.
And Nerdman, I can tell you exactly what Steve's journey is.
The point that I'm trying to make is that these things that happen in Civil War between Steve and Tony, okay, it carries on.
America.
Look, can I say this about one? Look, the majority of
you can't, K-Dot.
I was saying that I named 4 movies that were better than Wonder Woman. So yeah, we're still talking about Captain America, but I'm talking about Captain America Civil War, because how did we get here? Because of the 4 movies that I named that's better than this movie, right? So I'm kind of going back to the point that I was making. These 4 movies are better than Wonder Woman 2017, right? Isn't that what I said?
So you've got 4 movies that are better than Wonder Woman 2017.
So what I'm saying about
Civil
12 movies better.
I've got more. I only can
DC.
Can
I
admit
in terms of DC being
I'm mentioning the point about Wonder Woman 2017, okay? But you keep do you not understand that?
Okay.
That moment when there's that question, that 2 minutes where she's questioning something, and then she turns around and she's over it in the next minute, okay? What I'm saying to you is the moment in Civil War, that moment hangs, okay? It goes into the next film. And in the next film, because of this situation between these 2 people, these 2 leaders of this team, things start to fall apart and that they lose. And it then takes another film for the 2 of them to come back together No.
Comparable.
Okay.
You're talking about a conflict between two characters versus a character.
But it was the conflict of the bigger issue.
Her whole
it's an
morality
example.
For
the example,
and then regaining
that moment lasts. She doesn't. It doesn't feel like a question or a conflict within her because within the next moment is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
she's over
she's distracted by Aries. She's distracted by Aries. You don't know that she's over it.
Plus, her acting is like really, really bad, and she just sits there and gives model things.
According to what you said, according to what you said,
I can defend Gal Gadot's acting, but I want to know, what is the journey of Captain America in Captain America 1? Where does he question anything? Where does he change? He's a completely static character through that whole movie.
That's not the point of that movie.
From the very beginning. He's that hopeful kid who wants to go off to war to essentially fight for his country. And by the end of it, he's the hopeful kid who wants to go to war to fight for his country. He is the same the whole way through that movie. There is no ebbs and flows. Wonder Woman learned lessons. Wonder Woman learned lessons in that movie. It shows that she is flawed in the movie. She judges. Oops.
The point of Captain America was that he started.
Okay, go on then. So
that he started off as a weak guy, and the point of the movie was that even if you're weak, doesn't mean you're not strong. He just happened to get the power, but his heart and soul was strong, and that's why he was the perfect choice for Captain America.
Okay, so the arc is over in like the first 15 minutes, and then
I don't think Nerdman. There are many.
So his whole character arc
hundreds of
in
movies.
The first, like 15 minutes.
Well,
of the
Nerdman,
movie,
this is the bullshit argument.
It's straight.
A character doesn't need to change for it to be a compelling character.
Facts.
That's not.
There are character journeys.
To be a more compelling character, it would be nice to have some changes, to have some, lessons learned.
And guess what? He does change even more than Wonder Woman through the arc. That's why the MCU is better, because he changes through the movies, and you actually care about him through multiple movies.
Wait, when does he change through the movies? What does he change?
Let's get into this. He turns from a scrawny man into a soldier who is like gung ho America. I will buy the books. Do not question my government. Holy shit!
Was never that.
Yes, he was.
Man, let me finish. You asked me what his journey was. I'm telling you what his journey was.
He was always my morality. I know what's good, right, and wrong. He was never like deferring. He never deferred to America.
What was the point of Winter Soldier?
When I finish let me tell you what his journey was. He starts as a gung-ho. I will do anything to fight the Nazis. I don't care what it is. I will fucking falsify my information, anything, because that's the time in 1940, whatever. It's like America, America, America. Then he wakes up in the ice, and he's still like, America, America. And then he's like, wait, what? Times have changed? Times have moved on past me? Oh my God, my government is literally lying to me. His whole world is flipped to where he becomes a fugitive. Rips off the stars and stripes and says, I will fight the government for what's fucking right. And he becomes the opposite of what he was and learns that you can't trust everybody.
He was always would have done that. He would have done that even. He would have even done that when he was
that in Winter Soldier.
At the beginning of Winter Soldier, no. At the beginning of Winter Soldier, he was doing what he was supposed to do. He was taking orders and doing what he had to do. And then when he found out that Black Widow was on a secret mission, that's when he started questioning things. He's like, wait, what's going on here?
Enzo, I can tell him the exact line.
Things.
When he's talking, no, man.
I'm saying I can tell you. I can tell you fundamentally as a character.
He does.
He tells Peggy.
He tells old Peggy. He tells old lady Peggy. I always thought I knew what I was doing was right. Now he literally tells her, now I don't know what the right thing to do is. He's like, dude, his acting with Nick Fury, like, you're holding information from me. This isn't protection. This is fear. He literally, and then he becomes a fugitive for his best friend. The Captain America from the first movie, who would literally die for America, is now saying, I'm against America for my best friend. I'm ripping off the stars and stripes. That is way more compelling than war is bad.
Are you trying to tell me in the first movie he wouldn't have done that?
No, he wouldn't.
No, he was gung-ho.
He wouldn't have become a
generic white.
If he knew that the American government was doing notorious shit.
But he didn't know. He was a gung-ho, generic white man in the 40s who would do anything for America. Then he becomes a person who literally can't even trust his own government. That's compelling, and it's a 5-movie arc to Infinity War where he grows his hair out. He doesn't even know. He literally is like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, it's dude, come on.
My point is in the Wonder Woman, because we're just comparing. For me, I was comparing Wonder Woman to Captain America.
I'm done with Wonder Woman.
Why it's specifically a better movie, and I do think we should move past Wonder Woman, to be honest, because it's not that, but. Essentially, she goes through this journey where she meets all these human beings who she immediately judges, right? Like they're a thief, they're a spy, they're a this and that, and she immediately judges them. Like when she's sitting around the table in the bar, saying, because she's got this black and white morality. And as she moves through the movie, she learns to see like what about them as humans, like they're flawed and they have all these kind of dark pasts and traumas that lead them to being who they are. And she becomes more understanding to them. And that's why when she the guy says to her, I wanted to be an actor, but because of my race, she immediately identifies, I see, like, this guy has deeper reasons for what he's become. So that's the whole point of her journey. Like it ebbs and flows through the movie until she, reaches that point of losing her.
I have one last thing to say about Wonder Woman.
But we'll go on to a next movie after this.
This is my last thing to say about her. Yes, she does have a better changing character arc than Steve in her first movie. But after that, her character doesn't change one iota. She gets worse. Steve is generic in the first movie, but his character gets better through the universe. That is the whole point of why the MCU is better. It has climaxes. It has the characters change. It makes you feel things. It puts you on a journey that these individual movies just don't do.
Even Tony Stark is not the same person he was at the beginning of the movies, right? Because
Tony Stark, I agree.
He was selfish. He was all out for himself. And Captain America even tells him, you're not the one that's going to put your life on the line. And then he ends up doing it, right? So his arc, he went from selfish to having a family, to having things he cared about, and then ended up sacrificing himself. So and that's the thing with Captain America and Tony Stark. They went in opposite directions, because Captain America started off as that soldier and ended up with the life. You know what I mean?
Enzo, yes.
If we're doing it, is it even fair to compare Cap's finished arc, Steve Rogers' finished arc, to Wonder Woman, who only has 2 films and she featured in 2 movies?
No, she has 3 films. She's in 3 films. That's the whole point of this video. What's better, DC or MCU? And the MCU is better.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even fair because it's not even a fight. She doesn't have a full character arc, and he does.
Should we move?
Wait. All right, wait. Because let's be clear. Earlier are we talking about connected? Because this thing, are we talking about connected universes or films? Because if we're using all the DC films against all the MCU films.
Overall,
I think overall.
Well, if we talk
I think that part of the argument.
Part of the argument overall. That's what I'm saying. That's why if we comparing universes, Marvel's universe is better because their universe had a plan.
Yeah, of course.
And it went. DC has no universe. I don't know where they're going. I gotta wait and see until Flashpoint. I don't know where they're going. I don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
But part of the argument, the point that I was gonna make, ask with your question, is part of what makes the MCU better than these DC films and overall is that interconnected universe, is that through line through these films. And yes, DC tried, right? What is Snyderverse, right? But yeah, part of what makes these Marvel films great is the fact that their stories continue.
Great is a bit of a good, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Great's a bit of a stretch, but
okay.
In
comparison to DC overall, it is great. Okay,
it's platinum.
That is the point that we are trying to make here. All right,
top shelf
in comparison.
Yeah, all right.
Filet mignon compared to a TV dinner.
Okay,
that was the whole point, and that was what this whole thing started.
All right, let's get into it then. So you've given some movies which are your top movies, right? So I'm going to give some DC movies which I think are the top DC movies, and I want to
that's not what I did.
Well, you gave some of the
I
top
gave 4
movies.
movies that were better than Wonder Woman 2017.
You gave 4 movies that were better than Wonder Woman or whatever, but they were the best movies.
Oh,
you did?
Before you
Nicola
got here,
and I did it. Yeah.
Sathwick and I we gave about 10 movies that we thought were great. That we said were going to be MCU classics.
Hey,
before
wait,
you got here.
you guys gotta leave.
I had a thing come up with my kiddo. Sorry.
You guys, I gotta leave in 5 minutes, but I mean, I'm just recommending. I really feel like because if we're doing all DC films, look, it should be a Marvel overall versus DC overall. Because just going to the MCU, I mean, you can add it into it because there's good Marvel movies outside of
Nerdman's rules. I wanted to do that. I wanted to do this. I want to add X-Men, Spider-Man. I want to add all of it, but he wants to do MCU versus the entirety of DC.
Well,
this is how we started
to be fair
debate.
to Nerdman, this is what I set up. This is what I did. It ain't Nerdman. It's me.
Oh, so we should blame Ashley for it.
Yeah, blame me.
No, I'm not saying y'all can't do it, but I'm saying if we're doing DC overall, like, let's do it overall. Animated.
Because now, the reason why this started and with me and Nerdman having a conversation is because it was always him talking about the MCU. Okay, so that's why it was about these 24 films, and then I was like, you know what, you can't really with the DCEU, and I gave his ass a bone. Okay, because if we really wanted to just line it up, it would have been a 5-minute debate, and it would have been about the MCU versus the DCEU. But I gave him, a bone here.
Because the Nerdman, he doesn't want to get X-Men First Class and Spider-Man 2, like, because we would absolutely eviscerate him.
That's how
to be honest, Animated Spider-Man and
Days of Future Past.
Those movies are good because they're not like MCU movies. That's the thing, though.
And that's why this debate is about the MCU versus the DC because of the shit that he says.
That's what I'm saying. So we can't go into that. Like, really, it's like it's a completely different debate. If anything, I would say, all right, like, let's put all of the Marvel movies versus MCU movies, because again, I would say in a lot of places they've made far superior movies. Movies alone, when you don't try and say, oh, it's connected to this and that, and that's the reason, and it's built up to the actual movie as a standalone movies going head to head, they are better directed, better written, better scores, better cinematography, usually better action. The whole way through, and they have
they're better. So tell me,
let's go for Batman Begins as well.
I
as
love that he
V
just
for
said
Vendetta.
standalone. I love that you said that, Nerdman. I'm going to catch you on everything that you say, Nerdman. Because if you judge Zack Snyder's Justice League as a standalone movie with nothing else, it's trash.
When are we going to talk about Wonder Woman 1984?
Oh, we're going to get to it. I have a whole list of the bad DC movies.
No. But I will already say this. I can't defend Wonder Woman 1984, nor can I defend
but in a debate.
Nor can I defend Birds of Prey, and I don't think Justice League really counts because we have the new Justice League. So my things that I'm gonna
go with canon one though.
Which one's canon though?
My things that I'm gonna put out there, right? Is first of all V for Vendetta and Batman Begins. Who left there? Sorry, I don't know who left. K-Dot. Sorry, K-Dot. See, man, thank you so much. Let's go for V for Vendetta and Batman Begins right here.
I mean,
in almost every way, in almost every way, like, I can't think. I mean, you could possibly say Infinity War and Endgame might be the only matches that you could have for those two movies. But I would say the plot holes, the gaping, massive, huge plot holes in Endgame and Infinity War, from a writing standpoint, disqualify them. The only way you can enjoy those movies is if you're like so into the MCU that you've already invested in these characters so much that you can just forget all of the logical leaps that these stories take. Let's go through some of them. So we've got, because I honestly think these are the only two movies that even compare to Batman Begins and V for Vendetta. You can argue differently. You can argue differently.
You're higher than high.
So the whole thing with time travel issues in Endgame, absolutely ridiculous. They give they give whatever reason is convenient that that lines up with what the story needs to go for how that time travel works in the movie. The whole thing of Thanos going to this city of nowhere, or the land of nowhere, to get the dwarf the giant dwarf is the only one who can create something to hold the Infinity Stones.
Get it right.
Yeah, he's the only one who could create anything to hold the Infinity Stones. And what happens? Oh, turns out it turns out Iron Man's Tony Stark can just create his own nanotech, gauntlet. And it's not one scene, it's every single scene in this goddamn movie. The power scaling in Infinity War is ridiculous. You have him beating up the Hulk, KO, straight up knockout, and yet he's playing around with characters clearly less powerful than them in a second fight. And then why doesn't he kill these guys? He's got a reality stone. Why don't he just wipe them out? What's the point of playing with these fucking cats? They're in his way. He has a mission to take out these guys so that he can get to do what he thinks is the ultimate right. And yet he's always playing with these guys all throughout the movie. The movie is just riddled with holes and inconsistencies that you have to just sit there and ignore to actually enjoy the movie. And I was taken out of that movie, probably both of those movies, but specifically Endgame, more times than I've been taken out of any movie in either DC or any of at least the great movies of DC, or the good to great movies of DC, much more than I was, taken out of. This is the movie I was taken out most of, taken out of the story most of the MCU plus the DC movies we've discussed. Sorry, that was really bad, the end of that.
Can I address that one plot hole that he mentioned where he talked about Tony Stark and the nanogauntlet? I mean, if we go back, we see Hydra making weapons with an Infinity Stone in the 1940s. Like, if we're talking about, like science and like whatever, like, what are we doing here? I mean, in the cosmos, maybe.
No. Sadwick, let's make sure we understand the point here. Mm-hmm. The movie itself states categorically that this is the only guy who can create something that can hold those Infinity Stones. Never did. Yes, it did. Mm-hmm. Yes, please don't.
They never said that, nerd man. It's just a place that could do it.
Yep.
But I agree, Nerdman. I agree, Nerdman. I agree with you, Nerdman. I completely agree with you. It is kind of stupid because that's the thing that made fucking Mjolnir. So it's implied that something has to be that powerful to hold the stones, and then fucking Tony Nanotech does it. Dude, Endgame. I don't think Endgame's a great movie. So like, Endgame doesn't fucking sniff Batman Begins. I've never seen V for Vendetta, but I hear it's amazing. But like, dude, Endgame is not a great movie.
Is it amazing? Is V for Vendetta amazing?
Yeah, V for Vendetta.
I've heard it's really great.
I've seen it, and I know a lot of people think it's amazing. But
I'm with you. I didn't think it was that.
To me, it's okay.
Me too.
So is it a better movie than Endgame?
And when I first seen it, I fucking hated it.
Is it a better movie than Endgame?
V for Vendetta? Not to me.
Batman Begins?
Batman Begins destroys Endgame.
Yes. Batman Begins.
There are moments in Endgame that, like, there's no moment Batman Begins that's as good as I Am Iron Man or picking up Mjolnir.
Iron Man is ruined because just before you had the Hulk, they set up this whole thing that Hulk is the only one powerful enough. Even maybe it's Thor, maybe it's Hulk, but nobody can do this. And then Iron Man just comes in, clicks much.
He's the only one powerful.
It ruins that whole moment.
No. You're missing the point there, then. Okay, because that's not what that was.
Hulk is able to
take his only one powerful to survive.
That's not what you're going to survive.
Yes. When he says, I was born for this, right? Because I had this gamma radiation going through my body.
Struggle so much.
It was hard for him, and so Tony did it with it. Tony, are you telling me that Tony did it?
Because Hulk tried to
Tony
bring
did
back.
it with
Tony
you telling
didn't
me
struggle.
Tony did with he didn't struggle.
First off,
You
hold on.
didn't
Do the
see
click.
his body when he
Nerd
snapped.
man is
And it going
completely
through
right.
his-
Nerdman.
No.
I'll say this.
You
Look
Nerd
at
man, I'm
that
with
scene.
you.
Look
No,
at the
no.
scene again. He does struggle. He does struggle.
But Ashley, he does this. He does this.
struggle.
He goes.
struggling.
I am Iron Man. Hulk is going.
Okay, but hold on.
Hulk is struggling way
Struggling.
more than
So-
Tony does.
Also, Tony
and
had
also
nano
Tony had
armor
built the suit,
to help him
to
with
be able
that.
to harness
Yes.
the stones. This suit, unlike the other suits before it, right?
Was made for that.
When we go back to it, he says like either the arc reactor can withstand something powerful enough for 15 minutes. Remember that moment? That is also a callback to that moment because this suit is made to be able to withstand
Hulk
the stones.
has the same technology on Ashley. He has the same
He
nanotech.
doesn't have. He has a gauntlet on.
Mhm.
Tony has a full body
Right.
armored suit.
But it's
on.
the Hulk.
Okay,
It's the
the
fucking
full
Hulk.
body suit.
Well,
And
it
does the
doesn't
Hulk
matter if
die?
you have to
Does the Hulk
pull it.
die?
He
Does
has they
does
categorically-
did he
why
die?
didn't they get Tony
Did he
Stark
die?
had
to do
plot
it?
armor.
Did he die?
If
Did he die?
Tony-
Did he die? Did he die?
So what if he
Did he
dies?
die?
Yeah.
The Hulk
That's
No,
what I'm
did
saying.
Hulk
That's
die?
the
he
point.
shouldn't have even been able to do it by
Did
the
the
logic of the
Hulk
movie.
die?
No,
Did he
did
die?
Hulk
Should not have been able to even
Did
do
he
it by
die,
the logic
though?
of the movie.
Did
He
he
should have been
die?
going, and Thanos should have killed him by the time he even got the click through. That's the whole point. Unless you're saying that Iron Man suit is stronger than Hulk. Is that what we're saying?
Iron Man
No.
can
Absorb
absorb the power of the
It
gauntlet better.
absorbed the power
It
because when
absorbed
Hulk
it.
does it, you can see the power going over the glove and into his arm, and you can see the same thing when Tony Stark does it, but it's going into the suit.
Does it say this
why
in the
you
And then
movie?
have
it
to-
and then it goes
Doesn't
into
have
and
to.
then
That's-
as it
that's-
also and
yeah,
then it also
exactly.
goes into Tony's body as well.
Yes, right, because it goes up his
it's just-
shoulder.
It's into his neck.
But
yeah.
isn't it stupid if that's true that he didn't just create a full Hulkbuster nano suit for Hulk to do it in?
But it was never
But
the
he
plan for
also
Hulk
that
to do
it,
it.
it was
because-
never the plan for Hulk.
Why didn't he
when it-
plan for every single person to do it? Why didn't he plan? He's Tony Stark. That dude, it's very flawed. I agree with Nerd Man. It's kind
Yeah.
of stupid, but I love
don't.
it. It's one of my favorite moments in movie history.
Right, and that's
I'm with
because you're
Ashley.
going
You can
along
pick it
with
apart.
You're going along with
Because
it
the good
you-
grace of the
you-
past
you-
10 years.
Because of the good grace, but as a solo movie, you take the movie in and of itself,
It's a
Right.
mess.
and it's a fucking mess. And so is
The
the other.
time
So is the
travel,
other
the
one. Now
time
let's talk
travel
about.
is
Mhm.
a mess. The
Let's
movie
talk
itself,
about.
in my
I
opinion,
think I'm the only
overall is not a
DC
mess.
guy left. Oh, God, I
Well,
want other
so
people to talk.
Nerdman,
But-
Enzo and Ashley
but-
didn't hear this before we started. I said before you guys got here, I was like, I think it's completely even. I think DC and Marvel are even once I looked at the movie slates. But I am fighting for Marvel, but I do think it's even because of the Dark Knight trilogy and Joker.
Well, you see, this is where I
Okay.
disagree because I'm like Mike, and the Dark Knight trilogy
Yeah.
sucks.
Well, I
Oh,
disagree with Enzo
I mean,
here.
Yeah, I
Enzo-
agree.
My favorite
Sorry.
movie of all time is The Dark Knight Rises.
Well,
there
you
go.
I like
Well,
Nothing
go.
can touch that trilogy.
I like the Dark Knight because of Heath Ledger, but Christian Bale kills me in those movies. I cannot take his voice. He drives me up a wall, and it just takes me out of
All
the
right,
movie.
and what about Hulk Daps? What about the
come on.
Hulk, Professor
Oh,
Hulk? Doesn't
God.
that drive
But
you
I
up the
didn't
wall?
like. I didn't like
Doesn't
Professor
Fat
Hulk.
Thor
Professor Hulk
drive
was
you up the
abysmal.
wall?
They
But
fucking
this is
wrote
why-
him wrong and they
Captain
destroyed
Marvel
his
to
character.
drive you
Hold
up the
on,
wall.
hold on, hold
I
on,
mean,
hold
like the
Hold
Dark
on,
Knight is better than
hold
all
on.
of these fucking
No,
movies.
hold on,
I
hold
mean,
on,
it's-
Nerdman. Let me say this, and you guys know this. Some of you guys say that Thor Ragnarok is one of the best movies. I hate it because of what they did to Hulk. I hate
exactly.
that movie for what they did to Hulk. So that's what I'm saying. So I'm not biased. I hate what they did with Christian Bale's voice in that movie. It throws me out of the movie, and that's why I don't like them. Same thing with Thor Ragnarok. Because of what they did to Hulk, I don't like those movies. So for me, it's just little things that can take me out of a movie, and then boom, I hate it. The Hulk dabbing when they turned him to fresh Hulk, I absolutely hate that. But the beginning
Right.
and the end of Endgame makes up for anything they did in the middle.
Not for me. I'm sorry, and this is the problem. They get away with too much, the MCU, and that's why they're able to keep on. And I worry about the future of the MCU. I'm hopeful, but I worry because I enjoy these movies, guys. By the way, let's not. Let
You
me
do?
not kind of. Yeah, I really do. I know. It
He
sounds
enjoys
like I don't. I
five of- he
enjoy these
enjoys like
movies.
five
I
of
just.
them.
I guess I just am not over the moon or over the top. I don't, about it like certain other people. I'm not even talking about you guys. I'm just talking about how people in general talk about the MCU as if they're like the greatest comic book movies of all time. I just don't agree with that. Like, I would put Sin City, I would put X-Men First Class, I'd put a lot of Kick-Ass even above most of the MCU. But we're not talking about that now. We're talking about the DC movies. So let me talk about like V for Vendetta. I think V for Vendetta is just, in terms of the thought-provoking, how thought-provoking a movie it is, how I'm not going to say it's deep, it's like amazingly deep or anything, but the way it deals with the politics inside in it and kind of satirizes our current world politics and where the dangers of where it can go, I think is quite brilliant. And I think the way they adapted that graphic novel to the screen, it really gives the feel of the themes of the graphic novel while not getting lost in making it exactly like that graphic novel, like say something like Watchmen, right? So I'm trying to think of, just to make clear what I'm saying. There's a scene in that movie where Natalie Portman is in prison, right? She's imprisoned, and there's a whole sequence where she's kind of learning the lesson that the hero is kind of trying to teach her about, never giving up hope, that the world is so hopeless, but you should never give up hope, and that there's always, fighting for freedom is always the right thing to do. In that one scene, if you just watch that sequence from beginning to end, it's almost like a short movie in and of itself. I think that is better than 90% of what I see in the MCU. I can't really think of a scene as powerful as that in the MCU, period. To me, it's important when you have scenes like that in films. I'll give one more example. Again, if you look at The Watchmen, when you see Dr. Manhattan turning into Dr. Manhattan, that sequence is just a beautiful masterpiece of filmmaking. I have not seen anything like that in the MCU. And I think, again, that's what makes these comic book movies just a grade above what you're getting. Although enjoyable in the MCU, it's not like, it doesn't raise it to the level of being great film or great cinema.
Well, you mentioned 2 movies out of a bunch of movies. I mean, it's not like themed all of DC's like that. So, I mean,
Nerman, do you value 4 to 5 great movies over 10, 12, 13 great to really good movies? Because the worst MCU movie, people either say it's Captain Marvel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, Thor the Dark World, any of those. They are not worse than WW84, Birds of Prey, Catwoman, Batman and Robin, Superman 4 and 5, Justice League, Jonah Hex, Batman vs. Superman. There's a laundry list of absolute, not just bad. Superman Returns, garbage film.
Superman Returns isn't bad, but
I think Superman Returns would be like a lower level MCU.
And
BVS is absolute trash. They have a laundry list of trash movies, and the MCU does not have one movie where you just can't find it.
But then again, I can say that, but then I'll say, but the DC movies have a laundry list of movies with just great cinematic moments in it, true cinematic moments that can compare to actual other great cinematic movies in other genres. These are movies that
Captain America grabbing Mjolnir was one of those moments, though.
Mm-hmm.
Captain America saying Avengers Assemble was one of those moments.
You think Captain? Let me just get this so that we're on the
Here's Nerdman.
I'm not trying.
Here he goes.
No, I'm just saying so we can get on the
MCU's not film.
I'm not saying it's not film, dude. I'm not like Scorseseing it. I enjoy those movies. I think they're worth.
Scorsese.
I think they're worth. I think they're definitely worth their existence. I really like a lot of them. And I think they've achieved a lot in terms of having a coherent cinematic universe that is well managed and somewhat coherent. It's not always coherent. There's a lot of things in between them that don't quite jive together. So I do like it. But you telling me Captain America picking up Mjolnir is comparable to what was achieved in that Dr. Manhattan sequence.
I'll be honest,
where it's the origin of Dr. Manhattan.
Him being exploded?
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
I've never seen somebody get exploded before on screen.
No, but the whole way that it tells that story.
Oh, the narration. Again, I've never seen narration before on screen.
No.
Right.
That could be a short film in and of itself, and it is beautiful. Each frame of it, the music choice, the everything about that scene is just when I first saw it, my mind was absolutely blown by what I was
you
seeing.
Told me that it's not about what it looks like, it's about the character of the dialogue and the characters. When it's the Avengers, it doesn't matter what it looks like, it's about how deep it is. Dude, yes, it's pretty. It's good. I mean, it's lifted right from the comic, which is my favorite comic book of all time. But like you can name 4 or 5 maybe great movies, but like what it's all about, what does it make you feel? What's the rewatchability? I'm sorry, it's really hard to watch Watchmen. It's really hard, but I can put on the Avengers or Captain America Winter Soldier any day of the week.
It's hard to watch Schindler's List. That doesn't make it any less of an achievement. I mean,
but I can argue that the Avengers is better because it's hard to watch that movie. Like when you make a film, you want the audience to rewatch it. I don't want to have a movie where it's good, but I don't want to watch that again.
Dude, I rewatch Watchmen all the time, so maybe we just have a different disposition. I rewatch that shit all the time. I would.
Really depressing.
I'm a super upbeat person. I don't.
You just said it
very often at all.
It's all subjective. It's all
I don't think that is subjective, because I think the creativity of that scene, the creativity that went into making that scene, is something that isn't even been attempted.
What's the creativity?
In the MCU.
But you liked it, and then I think it was just black. You know what I mean? So that's
more creative than Ant-Man going through the quantum realm.
Well, you can say Ragnarok is way more creative than that one scene. I mean, Taika Waititi's that's his brain in a freaking superhero movie, right? I mean, that's a pretty creative masterpiece.
We've never seen the quantum realm in film before. We've seen people get blown up in montages of people narrating. We've never seen the quantum realm or the we've never seen a different planet. Like, dude, there's so many things in the MCU that we haven't seen before. But you're just acting like, oh, it's just a generic popcorn bullshit. It's not.
Well, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look great. The score isn't great. It doesn't. The score doesn't really emphasize those moments quite often.
What?
The character work isn't there, built up to really for you to feel. There's something. I don't know how to. I don't know how to express this. I get what you're saying. Every movie in itself is a kind of achievement. It's a technical achievement. Some of the stuff that the MCU does in its movies with its green screen and CGI, of course, that is incredibly impressive. You can't deny that. But altogether, when you hang those scenes, the scene I was talking about in V for Vendetta doesn't even have CGI in it. It's just like a beautiful moment, right? In this film that's at the center of a great film, a great little action film, that you can enjoy if you're a comic book fan. But you can actually go away from it thinking, afterwards being like really quite emotionally moved, but in a way, not just because I suppose you can get emotionally moved in the MCU because, I don't know, you root for one character or another, but emotionally moved because it's telling you something about reality, something about the world that is poignant. That is poignant and meaningful, right? I get. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
I'm just saying when you're talking about moments, with the MCU, there's no CGI, there's no green screen, and all these things like that. I'm going to tell you, Endgame does have a lot of problems. Okay, but the opening of Endgame, okay, yes, his family is dusted in the way And Jeremy Renner in that moment when he's looking for his family and he doesn't understand what's happening, where his family has went, where are they? Okay,
Mhm.
that is a very powerful
Mhm.
moment that opens up this film, because we know his character was not involved in Infinity War, had no clue what was going on. So the devastation, the loss of his family, and him completely not understanding where his family is in that moment, that is a powerful moment. Okay, and so I'm telling, that's an example of a powerful moment in the MCU film.
And there's another one in there too.
It's on the back of Jeremy Renner's acting. Okay.
And there's another one in there too.
Okay,
when Tony Stark's and Captain America talking, and he was like, "Where were you?" And this is my
Liar.
partner. Oh, that was an
Liar.
amazing.
I love
scene.
that scene, Enzo.
He said he takes the reactor. He says, "Here."
You said we'd lose.
Him?
I said we'd lose.
Right.
You said we'd do that together. Well, guess what, Cap? We lost, and you weren't there. That is a fucking fantastic scene, dude.
I love when he calls him a liar. Oh man,
no trust, liar.
Liar.
And dude,
Liar.
when Cap is looking,
Wonderful acting.
dude,
Yeah.
Nerdman. And also another great scene with no CGI and no dialogue. When Captain America is looking through the window at Peggy and the music swells, and you can see he wants to fucking cry because it's either like, let's do the mission, get this stone. I want to go in there and just touch the woman that I love so much, and he can't even touch her or talk to her. And just the acting on Chris Evans' face in that moment, dude, makes you fucking well up. And then the fact that you know he's gonna fucking get with her later makes it even better. Like, it makes you cheer. Like, I hate that fucking thing on movies where it's like, this movie's gonna make you cheer. The MCU actually makes you cheer. It makes you care. It makes you cry. It makes you happy. It doesn't just be like, I want to watch an intellectual sad movie.
I don't know.
The gambit of emotions, dude.
Go and Google.
You're talking about like an intellectual sad movie. I didn't find that sad what I was watching in that scene.
Because you're a sick individual.
Subjective.
No, I actually thought that it was just great cinema. The way it was actually choosing to display the story was not just conventional cinema making. It wasn't just like, oh, I'm just going to film a scene, and then this scene is going to go on, and Captain America is going to react to this woman. Yes, it might be moving if you're invested in the Captain America character. If you're not so invested, it might not be. This actually, like this, scene, I think it was just talking about some lesbian woman's relationship and how she ended up getting taken in by this totalitarian state, right? Just that story and the way it chose to tell it through her writing the letter and then sending the letters through the hole to each other, and then it flashes to her life before, and it goes on, and it tells a whole story, like a whole story that could be a film in itself through this particular cinematic, I'm looking for a word, but method or whatever. And I thought that you don't see stuff like that in the MCU. And, dude, you've even said it yourself in some ways. Like, and this is a lesser moment, but like in the X-Men First Class movie, you said it yourself about the Serenity moment.
That is my favorite scene in any comic book movie ever.
And you see the way it kind of flashes back and uses different cinematic techniques to emphasize that moment, music, the acting, everything. That's what I find missing, and that's why I find these movies a little bit generic. I don't get that in these movies. Maybe I'm missing something. Am I? Because it's very paint by numbers.
I know what you mean,
usually tell these narratives.
I'm giving you a hard time, dude. You know that I agree with you that the MCU, it can be boring looking. I think the color grading's kind of ugly. The cinematography isn't always great. I think that these are even. I'm just trying to give you a hard time. I know exactly what you mean.
I think the
Watchmen
MCU movies are very good and quite an achievement. If
you're
an MCU fan, you should be proud of it. The way that Watchmen looks and the way that the camera moves and the color grading and the film making itself is better than anything the MCU has, I think. But I think as a whole, when you put it all together, the 10 or 11 great movies or good movies the MCU has just outdoes it, and it's an experience that you don't find at DC. It's because they can't thread together any movies that make you feel something other than the Dark Knight trilogy, which is the only thing that's making me say these are tied, because absolutely nothing in the MCU can touch the Dark Knight. Okay, all right, guys. Ashley,
Enzo and Mike completely agree.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. Bottom of the barrel movies. Nah, sorry, not a fan of those trilogies. I'm just not. So I'd put Civil War over it. I'd put Infinity Wars over it. I'd put Winter Soldier over them.
I can't do that.
I can't see
Christopher Nolan is my favorite director. Okay,
that's fine.
The Dark Knight trilogy is, I mean, not only it's up there in like my just not comic book films, but just top 10. Yeah. No, I can't. As much as I love Marvel and as much as I love the MCU, the Dark Knight trilogy, Batman Begins, all of it, nothing in the MCU compares to that. But when it comes to V for Vendetta, I really didn't like that movie a whole lot. That's just my opinion.
You agree that it's favorably reviewed. It's favorably reviewed.
I know. Yes, it is. Yes, I agree. I know lots of people. That's to them. That's the best DC movie of all time. Is
I would hear that argument.
I've had with people. Yeah, but I like Watchmen more than V for Vendetta. But yeah. I can't really, there's no argument there for me when it comes to the Dark Knight trilogy. Even Watchmen, I think Watchmen's overall a better movie than anything that's in the MCU, but it's not like, I don't want to watch it again. It doesn't have that rewatchability factor for me, but it is a better movie than, anything that I've seen in the MCU. But V for Vendetta, no.
I think out of all the Nolan trilogies, I think Dark Knight is the best, and the only reason why I like it so much is because of Heath Ledger. And I'm just like, you take Heath Ledger out, and that movie is trash.
Damn.
Well, so I don't even know how to argue with that. But yeah, go on. Sorry.
I mean, we're all agreeing with you that probably, other than Enzo, that like Ashley and myself, like we're saying that the Dark Knight and Batman Begins and Watchmen probably are better than any singular MCU movie. But as a whole, the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All right, but here's where I'm gonna take some kind of umbrage to that. Now, I will compliment the MCU in terms of the achievement, especially when it got to Avengers: Infinity War and Endgame. To see that come to fruition, I was like, wow, that is, I might not like the movie, but fuck me, like to actually. I actually like Infinity War, but to see them actually go there and finally do something that was a little bit dark by the end, and to see, okay, well, it kind of justifies a lot of the stuff I didn't like before because this is where it was going. And they had to do some of the things I dislike to get to there, right? You couldn't have done it any other way. But the problem is there's so much generic leading up to that Infinity War. So you've got Avengers, I'll give you that. You've got those Captain America movies, I'll give you that. But a lot of the rest of them, I'll even give Black Panther, I quite like that, right? But there's a lot, I think it's overrated, but I quite like it. But there's a lot of movies leading up to there that just, they're substanceless. They're just there as vehicles to move towards this bigger event and this bigger story. So the villains are vanilla. They can't do anything. I think the worst thing that the villain of Ant-Man does is kill a bug. That's his worst, most villainous act in the whole fucking movie.
He killed a sheep.
Right. Oh, and he rattled the sheep in a little thing.
Yeah.
That's the worst, most villainous act in the whole movie.
I mean, he did kidnap his child and threaten to kill her.
Emotional weight, right? And he
was going to kill his child.
Over and over again in this universe. Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, complete mess. Directors completely handcuffed because we're trying to get to this big movie event. Same thing goes with Thor: The Dark World. The director was completely handcuffed, couldn't do anything. Avengers: Age of Ultron, handcuffed. We're trying to get to this bigger event. We're trying to get to Thanos. You can't kill anybody. You can't, you can't have real stakes in the movie. You can't have the villain even do really villainous shit because he can't really threaten the heroes properly.
I mean, so there's no directors on DC side that was handcuffed? If we're gonna bring up that point,
Yeah. Well, who is the
David
DCEU's
Ayers.
who is the DCEU's best villain? Nerdman. Who genuinely? Who do you think's the best villain in the DCEU?
Lex. He's gonna say Lex.
Is it Lex?
Please don't say Lex.
See, look.
No. Answer the answer.
He's gonna say Lex.
Genuinely,
no,
who
no.
is it? Who is it in the DCEU?
I'm gonna say this.
Well,
I think. That,
Say Lex.
what are you saying? I'll say this. I don't think the DCU villains are that good. I just think the MCU villains are worse. I think they genuinely have no personality. They
So
have
But who's the best?
no
Who's the best?
character.
Okay, who's the best?
Yeah, who's the best?
If I was going to say the best DCU villain, I would say, to me, Amanda Waller's more memorable than most of these guys. I do like Viola Davis's performance a lot. I would say that
Thaddeus Ross is better than her.
I would say that Steppenwolf is pretty he's pretty menacing.
Hold on.
Why are we laughing there?
Vulture,
You lose.
Killmonger is better than
Pretty
him.
menacing.
Which
Steppenwolf was
Steppenwolf?
pretty menacing.
Which Steppenwolf?
Steppenwolf from the Zack Snyder's Justice League
Okay,
was very
I thought it was
menacing.
okay.
I'll give you that.
He's okay.
You mean
Steppenwolf
Porcupine
from
Tree Man? You mean the guy who has?
Why are we laughing? Why are we laughing? One of your villains
I'm
got beat in a
laughing.
dance
I'm
off.
laughing because
One of your villains got beat in a dance off. Let's not forget about that. I don't think that the MCU villains are very good at all. And then if you try and talk about the villains outside of the DCEU, like the comedian, like the other guy who was the villain of the Watchmen, the main villain. I thought he had a fantastic Ozymandias. I thought he had a fantastic arc, much more charismatic. Like Jack Nicholson's Joker, like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, like Michelle.
Oh my
Pfeiffer's
God, you're
Catwoman.
funny.
No, don't laugh.
She has much more
two.
personality and much more. She's much more iconic to me than everything outside of Thanos. Basically, I'm sorry.
So you like personality. So what about Loki?
Wait.
I thought you didn't like Loki.
I'll take Catwoman.
There's too much personality.
Pfeiffer's Catwoman over Loki. I really would. I would take Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman over Loki any day of the week. I just think she was much more fun to watch. Personally, fun to watch. That's what I mean by that. Why is everyone laughing? I don't know what everyone's laughing at.
Look at the private chat, please.
All right, sorry. What's the private chat?
I didn't even notice.
I mean, either.
Oh.
Now I do.
I can't.
Hey, Nerman, I'll be right back.
I'm sorry. That's why I kept turning my camera on.
That killed me. Wow.
That was funny.
Oh, wow.
So I didn't listen for like 10 minutes because I was so like, and then like things
All
I
right,
saw in
look.
the chat.
I will say Ra's al Ghul, Scarecrow. I loved them. I think they the character performances and the kind of characters they were and how they played into the themes of the story far superior to most of the stuff I see in Marvel movies. So again, whether you want to discredit the DCU villains, I actually think Lex Luthor was fine. I really do. I think he was quite a good villain, and he's more memorable to me than most of the MCU villains as well. Like the lower tier MCU villains, definitely I would take Lex Luthor over them.
He's gonna be like one of the worst.
But even if you want to discredit Lex Luthor, you go to those early villains, and I don't even think it's a comparison. Like the comedian is just much better. Catwoman, I think, is much better, much more iconic.
Catwoman is better
than most of the 90% of the villains. So all right, let's put like a comedian, Ozymandias and Catwoman up against, and let's say Jack Nicholson's Joker up against some of your villains in the MCU. What do we have? Okay, so Killmonger, you've got Killmonger. Good.
Killmonger. So you're not going to.
Is he better than Jack Nicholson's Joker?
We do have to go back to Lex Luthor though, because we said we were going to talk about that too.
Oh.
So you're not going to escape that. You're not escaping that. You can't. So do we want to add Lex Luthor into this conversation?
Killmonger, Hella.
I can defend Lex Luthor. I don't mind if for
So we have
everyone's
Thanos.
entertainment.
Thanos. No, it's not about entertainment. It's about getting to the bottom of it. Thanos, Killmonger,
Zemo,
Zemo.
Loki.
So you're honestly
Loki.
trying to tell me you think Zemo
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
has a better
Yes, I do.
arc
Yeah,
and
Zemo's
better performance than the
Yeah.
villains of Watchmen, than the comedian? You think he's more like to you, more memorable?
The
does more
comedian is not a
dastardly shit?
villain.
He is a villain.
He's a bad
He's
guy.
an
But he's
evil
not a villain.
person in a bad guy. He's a bad
He's
guy
not-
in the movie.
He's a
a
bad
villain.
guy.
He's a bad
but he's not
guy.
a villain.
Oh man, what
not
are
like-
we talking about here? He's a villain.
Well, Nerdman,
No.
it's
Thaddeus
very
Ross a
great.
villain?
Maybe.
Ross
Thaddeus
is a
Ross?
villain.
He's on his way to be one. I don't know what we can
I mean,
consider
no,
him.
he unleashed a man to murder the Hulk. He's a villain. Abomination. He's a villain.
I don't know.
Oh yeah,
I-
Ross is a villain. I would
I
totally
don't really
agree with
think
you.
that right now.
Antagonist.
Man, he's a villain.
Ross
Antagonist, let's say that.
Ross
Yeah.
in the Incredible Hulk absolutely is a villain, and he's not good. He's
Oh my
not
God.
great.
Oh my gosh.
He's not that good. He's absolutely the villain of that movie. I would.
He's more like
completely
Lex
agree with you.
Luthor than
Abomination-
Eisenberg is.
All right, whatever. Look, so the comedian, right, and Ozymandias, you're trying to tell me that you think Baron Zemo is better than them in their performance.
I can't do that.
The character.
No way.
I don't
Right.
know.
Okay.
I
So
didn't-
what villains, apart from let's say Thanos, right, and
Hella.
Apart from
Killmonger.
one of the greatest of all time, Thanos. Like the only DC
Hella.
villains that are better than Thanos is Heath Ledger's Joker. Period.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker,
Is he a villain of a movie? He's a protagonist.
Joaquin
There was
Phoenix's
more
Joker. He's a villain. You can have a
He's
film
not
about
a villain. No.
You can have a film about a villain.
Okay,
no.
yeah, I
can
give it
have-
to you, nerd man. I give it to
Okay.
you. The two Jokers.
And Joaquin Phoenix is right. Okay.
Other than them, I think Thanos is the third best overall villain.
Yeah.
Memorability, impact on the story, acting, all of it.
Okay,
Oh,
his acting is
Mysterio?
good. His acting is good, but the consistency of his story we've already talked about. The power levels up and down. The fact that he could practically get everything over in the movie, like from the beginning. He snaps away the Guardians of the Galaxy for some reason, doesn't kill them. He turns
Because
things into
at that
bubbles
point,
rather than just murdering
There's no movie.
people like
at
he
that
should
point,
be.
he was focused on his mission. Okay.
Well,
He
Don't make
doesn't
him that
kill
powerful.
people if he doesn't have to.
Don't make him.
He
Don't
on-
make him.
He only yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Thank you, Pickle, because that's what I was getting to say. He only kills people if he absolutely has to. Why didn't he kill Tony Stark?
He
Okay.
does absolutely have to because he.
No, he
needs to
doesn't.
get-
No, he
needs
doesn't.
to get
He
the
only
Infinity
kills.
Stones.
He only kills. Okay, before he gets the stones, when he's going to these planets and he's killing off half the people.
So, are
because
you
that
trying
is
to
his
tell me
mission.
he's trying to make it a more? Why doesn't he just? All right, if he doesn't want to kill them, why doesn't he just take their legs off so they can't walk?
Because there wouldn't be a movie, nerd man. It's stupid.
Oh,
What
because
do
there
you-
wouldn't be a movie. So
What are you
it's
saying?
just
Yeah.
for the
Take
sake.
whose legs off?
The logic of the movie is just for the sake of forwarding the plot. This
But
is
he also
bad
he says that
storytelling,
he
my friend.
respects Tony.
That is
He
bad
respects Tony. He
storytelling.
respects Star. He actually enjoys that Star Lord
He
was
can
going to kill
respect him
his
and turn him
girlfriend, and he
into a
lets him go.
paraplegic.
Yeah.
He could turn him into a paraplegic. Don't bother me anymore. You're a paraplegic now,
Terrible.
Yes.
Yes.
right?
I
Okay.
mean,
So the inconsistency
I
in
mean,
the
we could
storytelling.
say
If
the
they
same
don't
thing
want
about-
Thanos to do that, then don't make him that powerful. Because I cannot buy into your stupid story to follow to just so as to continue the plot.
Why?
The
Sorry,
reason why-
that
but I don't even
disqualifies
think.
Thanos.
I don't even think that.
That
no, it doesn't
disqualifies Thanos
disqualify
because
him.
he
The
doesn't.
reason why Thanos
There's not
didn't
that
do it-
inconsistency
No.
in,
Exactly.
in the great DC villains that I've discussed.
The reason
You
why
don't have those
Thanos-
kind of
You're right.
inconsistencies.
Why
They
didn't
make-
he, why didn't the
The
Joker
reason why
shoot?
Thanos didn't do anything is because he thought those guys were irrelevant to him. They couldn't do nothing to Thanos. He's a narcissist. They didn't care about those guys. Those guys are little humans.
He literally calls Spider-Man an insect.
An
And then
insect.
throws him.
He
The only
doesn't care
person that
about them.
that he shows any respect to is Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, nerd man.
Right.
Dude,
and Wanda.
All that for a drop of blood. Like, he has so many great lines.
I like his lines and I like the acting. I'm not gonna take anything away from the acting and the lines. I think he was the most singularly saved that movie from being for me. But,
okay,
terrible,
so Nerdman, let me get on your side here. When he turns Mantis and Drax into blocks, and then like when he leaves, they like get back up. Yes, he could have turned every single character just into blocks or bubbles, and then when he gets the stones, like let them go back. Like he could have changed reality, but they had to nerf him for the movie to work.
And then we have no movie. He does that.
But there's so much good stuff in the movie that we can forget. That's the thing is that yes, there's ridiculous. There's ridiculous. There's ridiculous stuff in the MCU. But we like the characters so much. They're so good, compelling, enjoyable that we can forgive the bad shit.
No, you can
in DC.
The bad shit we can't forgive it. Characters. You can forgive it because they made me a fan
because the movies are good. Because the movies are good.
I can forgive Suicide Squad because I'm a fan of the characters. I like the characters a lot.
I'm
invested in the characters.
I'm a fan of Batman.
Let's face it.
Everyone
wants to shit on Suicide Squad. Made a lot of money in the cinemas. It really performed quite well.
Captain Marvel made a lot of money. Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
Did it really?
Is that we're going to use that point? Captain Marvel made $1 billion.
Yeah, and I would defend Captain Marvel on that. Then I would say, well, hey, it made $1 billion. Somebody liked it, so let's not shit on it as if it's. I don't think you can.
Nerdman,
Sorry, go
on. Green Lantern and Batman and Aquaman are all in my top 7 favorite heroes. Out of my top 5, 3 are DC, or maybe 2 of them. I love Green Lantern, Batman. Guess what? I couldn't forgive BVS just because if I was just like, I forgive it because I love Batman. No, it was ridiculous. It was so stupid. I couldn't believe it. Green Lantern movie. He's one of my favorite heroes ever. I couldn't forgive that movie, even though I wanted to. So it's not just because I love these characters. It's because they did the characters right. So they have leeway to make mistakes where DC doesn't.
I understand that. That's a good point, and it's a valid point. I'll return to that. Just to say, like Captain Marvel, I defend on its marketing strategy. I defend on the sense of, look, hey, let's put this new character and say she's going to be really, really important to Infinity War. You've got to watch this movie, so people go and watch the stupid movie, right? So I defend it on that. Suicide Squad had nothing to do with that. People just liked the movie. It wasn't like, we have to go to see Suicide Squad to understand what's going to happen in the next movie or anything like that. No. They just liked Suicide. Somebody did, because it made a lot of
David Ayers. Okay, if we're talking about marketing campaigns, David Ayers made a lot of comments that hyped the movie up, saying, basically fuck Marvel, DC, all this stuff. So if we're talking about marketing campaign, there was a big marketing campaign behind the Suicide.
We know why that movie made money.
Behind that movie because
Joker. Everyone was curious what the new Joker would look like, so I went to the theaters like a fucking chump and went and paid for it, and I was disappointed. Everyone wanted to see, what is this new Joker about?
People went again and again. They started wearing Harley Quinn costumes.
Little girls.
It also was one of the most diverse superhero movies that we've ever seen. Don't roll your eyes. Is it true?
No, it made 700. It made 746 million.
What do you mean diverse?
From what budget?
So, 125 characters. Budget was 125 million.
So it made a huge profit. Right. Okay. It's one of the more successful DCU movies.
Like skin color?
Yes, what do you mean diversity? Diversity. It had three strong central female leads, right? So it had the Enchantress. It had Harley Quinn, and it had obviously what's her name?
We're saying
Amanda Waller, right?
Based off of diversity. Is that like we're saying the movie's successful or not based off of how much diversity?
No, I'm saying the reason it appealed to people. The reason it appealed to
no. It was 21 Pilots, Bohemian Rhapsody, those bomb trailers. and
I didn't get
Margot Robbie looking hot in that Hot Topic.
So why would people go and watch it again? Why would people dress up as Harley Quinn if they like?
They thought it was
movie?
fun.
Because
Nerdman, why do people do anything? Why do anybody like movies?
I've not heard anybody say, you know what?
Yeah.
I really like Suicide Squad because the strong female characters. Because they weren't strong. Okay, Amanda Waller was the strongest one out of all three of them, right? And she was barely in the film. Harley Quinn.
What do you mean by strong female character? You just mean like somebody who asserts their will, or
you said strong, Nerdman. You said strong.
So when I say a strong female, I mean a female lead who has like their distinct characters. They've got like I don't know how you'd say it, like they're just good female characters. Put it that way.
No, Enchantress is a good female character.
No, she's not. That's a good point. Okay.
No, she's not. And dude, Nerdman, I can people rewatch that movie because some people value little things in movies. Some people went and saw it and they thought, man, Will Smith was funny, and I finally saw Harley Quinn on screen. I want to go see it again. They might have hated everything else, but there's so many people who went back. Dude, Will Smith, Harley Quinn, and what is this Joker going to look like? Or the three things that movie had for it. And guess what? I love that trailer when Bohemian Rhapsody's playing.
Yeah.
I love that trailer. And guess what, dude? I was completely shit on that movie's terrible.
Yeah.
I'm getting roasted for it for Enchantress.
Well, and then when you were saying strong, I'm thinking you're talking about, strong women.
I just mean diverse and
but even for me, it wasn't like
from each other. It was like there was one that you have very different types of female characters.
It seemed like
and you rarely see that in superhero movies where you've got three women who are very distinct.
See, you can have that diversity, but
when you are the leads of the movie. They were literally the leads of the movie.
You know what else?
Amanda Waller was barely in the movie. How was she a lead?
Katana barely in the movie.
A very important
Amanda Waller barely in the movie. Enchantress, absolutely terrible. You have the one dude with the zip lining. He was a person of color. Died in the first 15 minutes of the movie.
The other black guy is covered in croc makeup. Exactly. And guess what? That fucking I hate that line where they're like, hey, you guys fucking defeated this alien. What do you guys want? I want BET. Dude, I wanted to walk out of the fucking theater because of that. That was so terrible. Wonder Woman, I can give you, is a strong female character. Okoye is a strong female character. Black Widow. Enchantress is one of the worst villains ever. That's one of the worst films ever made. It has broken editing.
Again, there are fans of that movie.
I'm gonna melt.
So it doesn't matter how much you want to.
There are fans of Little Nicky.
The movie was successful. Successful, and there are reasons that the movie was successful. And I was saying that there are good elements to the movie that people ignore. And for one, as I said, it did have three. You might not like one of the female leads.
13-year-old girls love that movie.
Yeah, some girls just wanted a hot girl summer. And
my sister was one of them.
I liked it. I must be one of those hot girls. I don't know.
You are a very hot girl. You're very hot.
My sister was 13 at the time and loved it. And that was who basically loved the movie. So
Nerdman, are you already giving props? Are you going to go ahead and already give props to the Eternals because it's diverse?
Oh boy.
Oh, I think that's a good thing. I do think it's.
Is it? Thing. So it's okay. We'll talk about that.
So you're not going to judge the movie on its merits. It's only about diversity. Exactly. Why is that a good merit of a movie?
Well. I don't think the things are mutually exclusive. I'm saying I like that about the movie.
Different.
You're the one who said that diversity is a reason.
Completely unrecognizable. The Eternals, it should be completely. It should not. I mean, with your point, Nerdman, with the Suicide Squad, these are authentic characters. Okay, in Suicide Squad, in Eternals, except for Will Smith. These characters are absolutely unrecognizable in Eternals, and they're all, based off an agenda and gender swapped and race banned. So I don't know if I can give that.
Well, I enjoyed many of the characters. I enjoyed the fire guy, for instance. I
Diablo.
thought his little story at the end was kind of interesting. I did actually enjoy Captain Boomerang. I thought he was funny when he walked out the bar and everything.
Oh,
He was very good.
And him tricking the guy into killing himself. I thought that was pretty amusing. And then I did genuinely think that Will Smith did a charismatic performance and held up that movie. Margot Robbie, again, I really... There were moments where she showed vulnerabilities to Harley Quinn that made her a little bit more human than the cartoon character we got in Birds of Prey. So there's elements that I think are strong about that movie, and I do like it quite a bit more than a lot of Marvel movies. But we've strayed way away from the point that you were making earlier. I'm sorry, I do. I maybe I'm mad, but like there are some people who obviously agree with me because the film made its money. But
that was 5 years ago. People now have gotten smarter. We have evolved as a human race. You're the only one. You're on an island, nerd man. Everyone else has grown as people.
I thought the score, the original score for that movie was actually really good.
For that movie?
Can you hum it?
You hear it when Will Smith is like doing that shootout with all of the little zombie creatures.
What is it?
There's an original score during that. Yeah, it's a good score. I'm not going to hum it, but it is a good score.
He doesn't remember.
He don't remember.
Yeah,
I think the cinematography, for the most part, apart from it being a little bit on the dark side, I like the colorful kind of comic book flair that it had to the to the cinematography as well.
From Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh wait! You mean the movie where the music actually plays into the themes of the story, not just random Eminem songs?
Wait a second. I love
that movie.
It plays into the themes of the story. Very well done for Guardians of the Galaxy for doing that. But 99% of movies, the song does not necessarily play directly into the theme of the movie. They just put random tracks on top of a scene that's happening. Even in
we keep bringing up MCU movies, and Nerdman's like, yeah, that's a good movie.
I know.
That's like the sixth one that we've brought up where you're like, man, that's a good movie. You love the MCU. You're a closeted MCU lover, and you need to admit it right now. Stop fooling these people, Nerdman.
No, I'm not. I like the MCU. I've said it. I think it's overrated, though, and I think a lot of the movies, as I've said, I'm repeating myself, and I don't want to repeat myself too much. A lot of the movies leading up to this big event, first. The Avengers was decent. It was really good. But then after that, leading up to the event of Endgame and Infinity War, you got a lot of the same. It was just over and over like this kind of generic storytelling, very, very safe, played into the comedy quite a bit, and ultimately quite forgettable. But good on them for sticking the path so that they could get to those Infinity War and Endgame. I can't take that away from them.
All right.
Silence.
We can.
I wasn't listening to you.
Okay, that's fine. we can wrap up very soon, but.
Nerdman, you didn't even mention Batman 89. You didn't mention Superman, the one that started it all. Like, what are you doing? You're failing at your own argument here.
Well, I'm in here alone at the moment, but anyway,
scared.
I'm not scared.
We can just take a W, right? You won, Marvel won, right? We can just take the W, right?
So okay, I got a great question.
I don't think you have. I don't think you have.
I have a great question for everybody on this panel.
Any of the questions? All you've said is that you've got a coherent universe. That's basically
answer any of the
MCU. No, I'm saying
we gave you arcs for characters. We gave you all types of shit, bro.
I want to ask everybody a question.
What is the great arc for a character? I can't.
We gave you the great
arc.
Black Widow had an arc.
Black Widow had a great arc. Iron Man had a great arc. Cap had a great arc.
Arc, like right at the end, she became almost a completely different character in any
man. Okay, and we're going to find out why she's a completely different arc in July. So
a man who was not even worthy enough to be enlisted into the armed forces.
No, she went from being a spy basically, like this spy who's like kind of
Yes.
covert,
Okay, and then
like
and
can't
in
be
Winter
Black Widow is not
Soldier,
great.
all the way
in Winter
to Black
Soldier,
Widow.
in
Black
Winter
Widow, she's
Soldier,
basically
in Winter
the female
Soldier,
Captain America.
in Winter Soldier, she starts letting go of a lot of that through her friendship with Cap. Okay, and by the
So she
time
becomes
she
a
gets
female
to
Captain America.
What?
what
She
I
just
said, through
basically
her,
that's
not what the
she
fuck
feels
I
like.
said.
Never became the
No,
female
what are you
Captain
talking
America.
about?
That's what
I
I
said
felt
through
like.
her
Yeah,
friend.
All of a sudden.
No.
Speaking of Captain America,
Okay, I won't finish. Whatever. Let's go.
a young man, nerd man.
Ashley, finish, please.
I'm good. I'm good. No, I'm good. Go ahead.
Okay. Okay, cool.
A young man who wasn't even worthy enough to be enlisted into the armed forces, which was a very easy thing to do during World War II. Like they were gobbling up everybody. He wasn't even worthy enough. Is now worthy to lift Mjolnir and wield the power of Thor. A man who would never even question his government, questions his whole existence. Why am I here? I'm alone. My friends are gone. My woman is gone. I can't trust my government anymore. A man who was literally killing people with his own technology in Iraq and other countries, only wanted to have sex with women and fucking make money and fucking profit, becomes a man who will literally put down his arcs. He never thought. You asked for one arc, I'm giving you two. He never even thought about having a family. Will literally lay down his life to save the universe and his family. Iron Man, Captain America, they enthrall you and bring you into their character more than any character in any DC movie ever. You asked for one arc, I gave you two, and I can give you more.
I can
give you two more. I can give you two more. I mean,
okay,
we have Thor lived for 15,000 years, never failed in his life, and now he's a failure. Now we're watching him sort of deal with that.
You think that's compelling?
Yeah, it's very compelling, actually.
Suffered from PTSD and then got over it. Absolutely.
Yep. And then we have my boy Spider-Man, right? Tom Holland, a 15-year-old, 16-year-old kid growing up in I like that arc. I like, kind of navigating the whole superhero stuff. And he's
a teenager. He goes from Infinity War to not being able to handle himself against like Mysterio and making stupid decisions like to give away high-tech stuff. Let me ask you something about Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Oh boy!
Right? He decides he's not responsible enough to wear to handle those glasses, and he decides to give it to Mysterio. Right?
Right.
Why didn't he think at that point, hey, rather than give it to this guy I've only known for a day, I don't trust myself with it. I can get that. Right? I might not be responsible enough. Let me give it to one of the Avengers. Let me give it to somebody I've known for a long time. So even if you want to give him the benefit of the doubt, like, oh, he's a little boy, he can't handle himself or whatever, and he recognizes that, like that's some kind of self-reflective moment.
Okay. Other than fucking Tony, right? Who did Peter really know on the Avengers besides Cap? And Cap is gone. The only one that he really had a back and forth with, really, in the moments in the films, was Cap, and Cap is gone. Yeah. So Iron Man is there. Iron Man was the main one that he had a connection to. He didn't have a connection with Black Widow. She's gone too. Any of these characters, none of them.
Not only that,
and then when we get to Far From Home, he's looking for someone to look up to. He's looking for a mentor. He's looking for someone to guide him, right? At this point, because the person that held that position is now gone. All right. So he's looking in the wrong place, in false mentors. All right. And he's also a kid. So yeah, he's a kid. He's being irresponsible. He thinks as an irresponsible kid, I can't handle this. Right. So let me give it to you because you look like a hero to me by the things that he was shown from Mysterio. So that's why he gives him the glasses.
If it wasn't like said specifically, this is the most powerful weapon. You don't give that to somebody that you've known
you
for
are coming from it
days.
From an adult mindset. He's still
not about an adult. It's not an adult.
But no. But he is acting as a kid would. He's being irresponsible. He's being immature. Mm-hmm. He's being a kid.
Maybe there's a reason why I relate to him more than everyone here on the panel because I'm the kid here. But I mean, yeah, that's something that's what I would totally do. Like, you as a kid, we sometimes just want to get rid of our responsibilities, regardless of how, important they are. We just want to let go of it. So, like, Pickle, what you said? MSK, what?
What did I say?
Whoa. It is National Pride Month, so there's that. So it can't be too bad.
I don't know what they're talking about either. Pickle.
I don't know, but I mean, like but hell, who else had an arc? Star-Lord had an arc. Gamora, Nebula had an arc. Nebula had an awesome arc, right? I mean, I can't tell you how many characters in the DC movies where they would start an arc and then they wouldn't even come back to it later. Whether it be the Dark Knight trilogy, whether it
Shut
be
up, MSK. Sorry,
Hey,
Southwick.
that's okay. I mean, that's America's ass right there. If it, but like whether it be the '90s Batman movies, they would start arcs and never finish them. We started an arc with Batman Returns where we introduced Harvey Dent. Never shows up in Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Where'd he go? I don't know. I mean, we get Tommy Lee Jones later, but I mean, like, what I'm saying is, like, they start stuff and they never finish it. They never really go through with it. So it completely throws you out because you feel like.
But again, it feels like you're defending the universe continuing a story. Doesn't matter what the quality. Doesn't matter what the quality of the story is, or how it plays out in the individual movies. Just because it carries on to the next movie. All right, so the Hulk is a great. I mean, like, sure, why not? Like, it carries a story all the way through. Doesn't matter the quality of the story.
No,
that's my problem with the MCU. It's like,
but that's
yes,
what
fine, I get it.
MCU
It has a long form story. It's like a TV show. And they got that correct. They didn't suddenly break in the middle and not, continue the TV show. But the actual individual movies, Batman Returns, I think is a fantastic little Christmas movie. It is actually very funny but dark, and the villains are cool. All of the stuff I enjoy more in the moment. I don't care about like, oh, did it lead on to something else where,
but
I'm saying that movie in itself. Same with Batman Begins.
What's not critique on, wouldn't be a critique on Batman for Returns, it'd be a critique on Batman Forever. We're watching this movie that's supposed to be a sequel to Batman Returns, and nothing from the last movie carried over, and you feel like you're watching a completely different movie.
Okay, so let me ask you what you think about, like, okay, go on.
No, I was going to ask you, did Christian Bale's Batman have an arc over his 3 movies?
Between Batman, Dark Knight Returns, and Dark Knight Rises, I think.
Okay, so that's my point. He had a little bit of an arc, right, through his movies. Yeah. So when you have a connected universe, when you got
Superman 1, 2, and 3.
But this is my point. When you have a connected universe like that, I know it's the same movies, but what Marvel did was take like someone making 3 movies and they put it to a different level. So they didn't just connect Captain America movies together. They connected the whole universe. So what you're seeing is an arc from these characters through a whole universe through over years.
But if their arcs aren't satisfying for the most part, like more misses than
Iron Man's arc is not satisfying.
I said most.
Captain America's arc is not satisfying.
Actually, it really isn't when you look at it. Like what he does at the end.
You're a son of a bitch.
What he does, what he does at the end of Endgame. I'm sorry, no, it isn't that satisfying. It's like you're gonna leave. He should have died basically in Endgame. That's what should have happened.
I agree. He should have been the one who
should have been. He should have been sacrificed.
I disagree completely.
Him going back to Peggy causes so many moral implications that are just really fucked up. Like he wiped out her family. He essentially wiped out her family by going back in time and being with her.
Actually, this is a separate timeline.
He created a branch universe.
He created a branch reality.
So why is he in the same reality? Why is he in the same reality at the end of the movie?
He traveled back to the main reality. That's the only explanation.
All right, so.
It doesn't make sense, Nerd Man.
It doesn't make sense.
I guess
it doesn't.
Okay,
that's
so
where
he wiped out her
starts to
family.
fall apart. No. He doesn't wipe out her family.
It's questionable.
According to what we are told in the movie from the Ancient One, is he creates a branch reality and that's not part, and that's in her main life that she had with her children still happens. And there's also, and then possibly the whole time he could have already went back in time and he could have been her husband, and we still don't know the answer to that question, because the picture of her with her 2 children, you never see her husband, right? So we don't know if this could be a possibility that he always went back in time, that he's always been Peggy's husband, but still when it comes to the time travel stuff with Endgame, it makes absolutely no sense.
Fuck Peggy's family.
Makes no sense.
Even if he did wipe him out, that's good. Go, Steve.
Wow.
I'll accept that, but I'm pretty sure there was something specific in one of those movies. Maybe it was Winter Soldier that showed that it was somebody else's family.
No,
they never. No, they never showed it. It never shows it. All you ever get is the picture of her 2 kids. You never see who her husband is. They never
talk about him or mention.
They never talk about him, other than the fact that she was married and that he was, Steve apparently saved his life. That's the only thing that we know. But like I said, we don't really know. We don't know.
Dude,
there's no picture of her husband.
Dude, that moment, you go through Steve's whole arc of being a selfless soldier, a man literally out of time, no friends, no family, no loved ones, nothing. In Age of Ultron, he doesn't even know where he belongs. Dude, he's at the facility of the Avengers facility, and he says, "I'm home." Like he has problems, dude. And then finally, after being selfless, strapping up that shield, standing against a whole army of Thanos' soldiers.
He does the most selfish act ever by not.
The moment where he finally gets the moment where he says, "I thought I'd go get some of that life Tony told me to get." And Sam said, "How was it?" And he says, "It was beautiful." That moment makes me cry because it was earned. It was fantastic. It's a 6-movie arc. It is perfect. I cry in Toy Story 3 because of Toy Story 1 and 2. It does matter if they're connected.
Fair enough, and it's all subjective. Yeah. But like that moment took me out of the movie because I was just busy thinking, how the fuck did that happen? Given what this story has been telling me.
But you've admitted to me that you didn't even pay attention to a lot of the MCU movies. You would fall asleep or not watch them fully. You're just going back and rewatching them. So like you weren't even in it for the full journey.
A lot of them were not that good, or they weren't things that I had to rush back to rewatch so that I could refresh my memory because I was
but Wonder Woman is so much above the MCU, guys.
Yeah. No, but wait a second. I think it's above like a lot of
Shazam. Oh my god, Shazam.
Oh, god. I want to talk
Shazam is basically an MCU movie.
I want to talk about Zack Snyder's Justice League. And I wanted to say one other thing about the DCU.
Please, Lord, let's do it.
This is the last thing, actually, of the DCU as a whole, and why I enjoy it. I like the fact that there is difference. I like the fact that, whatever film you go into, good or bad, you know that it's going to be the director's voice, the actual, directorial point of view of the director, as opposed to, this kind of mega machine that's just pushing out like these movies. So in that sense,
no.
To me, even within the DCEU, everything feels like a little bit. Aquaman feels different from Shazam. Shazam feels different from Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad feels different from Man of Steel. I like that about the
Guardian
the
feels different from Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier feels different from Ant-Man.
I don't think they do as much.
Endgame feels. Ant-Man feels different than exactly.
Like they're all different.
Suicide Squad. Dude, Man of Steel, Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman all feel like they were directed by Zack Snyder. Let's be real.
They all look the same. The color grading.
They do feel like that. Yes.
The ugly final battle.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think they look the same. So
they don't feel like they're in the same universe.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter to me. I'm in it for the film.
Do they not feel like
I'm in it for the film?
You a question. Okay. So there you go. The DCEU part of the DC failed, in your opinion. because it doesn't feel like it's part of the universe. But does the Marvel films feel like that they're part of the same universe?
When you say part of a universe, like it's one story.
The overall.
Or are you talking about how it looks universe. As a movie? Like you look at Aquaman's Atlantis versus Zack Snyder's.
Well, by the time you
Atlantis.
get to Aquaman, I that's they.
Yes,
they kinda,
it's inconsistent. Like
they reverted.
These characters live in the same universe. It doesn't feel like
do these films feel like they exist in the same universe to you?
I feel like they look different, but I feel like they're telling the same story.
Oh, okay.
They look different and feel different, and they have a different, that kind of thing. They all have great individual scores. They all visually look different. The action is kind of different in the way it's filmed. That kind of stuff is different, but it still feels like it's telling an overall story. Maybe not as well as the MCU, but
and going back to Southwick's point. Now, Southwick, because that was a point that I kind of made with him prior to this evening. Can you go to your point when you were talking about the films because he says that all Marvel movies feel the same?
Ragnarok's different from Ant-Man. Ant-Man's different from Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier is different from Ragnarok. Ragnarok's different from Infinity War. Infinity War and Endgame are different from each other, and they're both directed by the same directors. The Marvel movies.
We talk about solo movies. So let's look at solo movies.
Suicide Squad isn't a solo movie.
Solo MCU movies, and then there's team MCU movies.
Justice League is not a solo movie.
Yeah. Suicide Squad.
MCU movies. I'm saying.
Why are we making this?
But why are you? That's not the point. That wasn't the point.
Because if you look at the solo movies of the MCU, there is a formulaic structure.
Iron Man is not like Ant-Man. Iron Man is nothing like Ant-Man.
Well, it is actually. It very, very much is.
When it comes to the villains, but I'm talking about the villain. Tone
you have a dark reflection. You have a dark reflection, hero to villain, right? They both have a thing. They both have a thing.
I'm talking about the tone of the movie.
They both have a thing where the mental character of Ant-Man tells him,
"So is the tone of the movie?
You can't do this."
I get that. I get that.
You absolutely can't do, and that's how he. So it's it's a formula.
But what I'm asking you is the tone of the movie feel the same?
Yes. Yeah, I really do. I think it's got the same color palette.
So Ant-Man, that feels.
I think
more
it's
like
got like a similar forgettable score. I think it's got like the same
jokey comedy movie. Feels very similar to Iron Man to you. It's not a comedy. It's not a jokey movie. It's a more serious. So the tone of Iron Man and Ant-Man's the same in your opinion?
It's very similar. I would say it's more similar. It's more similar to me than I'd say Wonder Woman is to Zack Snyder's Justice League, right? Or Wonder Woman is to Aquaman. I think they're more similar.
Aquaman, I can give you Aquaman because they changed from this dark universe into a lighter universe by the time you get to Aquaman. But Wonder Woman 2017 does feel very much like it's in this dark universe in the DCEU. The tone is very similar to all these other films that came before it. Okay. It is. All right. Aquaman, I'll give it to you because by that point they had already said, you know what, we're going to switch things up and we're going to go and follow this other formula over here because that's more successful. And they made $1 billion.
Well,
am I right or wrong? Am I right or wrong? Isn't that what they did with Aquaman?
I'd say that Superman, Man of Steel is more a big action spectacle, whereas Wonder Woman is like a kind of it's got more of a kind of heart to it. Like it's got more of an emotional kind of thing, whereas half of Man of Steel is basically a big action. I don't it have the same tone there. I think there's
Does.
quite a bit of difference there.
I mean, if Iron Man, and Iron Man and Ant-Man don't have the same tone.
You accept the dark reflection villains that the MCU always has. I mean, and that
they don't always have it. They don't always have it. But it does exist, okay?
It comes up again and again. And then when you go to the team movies, I think the team movies are very similar to each other. That's the thing that I'm saying. When you look at Civil War and I don't know, like especially kind of like Avengers, Age of Ultron, it looks similar. The action is directed in a similar way. Visually, it looks similar.
No.
The only one that looks really different to me, in the team movies is Guardians of the Galaxy.
Avengers and
Age of Ultron and Avengers look vastly different.
Totally different.
Age of Ultron and Avengers vastly different. Age of Ultron has a darker tone compared to Avengers. If you go to Civil War, I mean it's more similar to Avengers than it is Age of Ultron, but it still has more of a darker tone to it. They change. Endgame and Infinity War, completely separate tones. Endgame is way more darker. Infinity War has like that more vibrant poppy look that you would expect from an MCU movie in terms of colors and costumes and whatever. But like Endgame being a more like that sort of drastic, heavier like this is
the first half of the movie.
Yeah. Right. But even still, it has that sort of that weight to it. It's completely different is what I'm trying to say. They're like watching different movies. I don't understand when people say, "Oh, all MCU movies feel the same," or when I'm watching an MCU movie, I feel like I'm watching the same movie 24 times. I don't get that. They all have their own personality.
If it didn't have that structure
that
is input on, like as I said, Ant-Man has the same structure as Iron Man. Iron Man has there was another one that Iron Man specifically, Doctor Strange, right? Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and they have the same structure of the mental figure. The mental figure basically tells the hero, "Oh, you can't do this. You can't go to the quantum level, otherwise you're fucked. You can't use the icing on in the Iron Man suit, or you're fucked. Or you can't do something with time travel or whatever in Doctor Strange, or you're fucked." And the hero takes on the dark mirror version of themselves, and then uses that thing that the mentor tells them not to do, and uses that to defeat the villain. It's the basic structure of those movies, and I'm sure I could find it in other places if I knew those movies.
Who's Tony's mentor in Iron Man?
Well, I mean, it was the icing thing that they said that he can't do.
He was his mentor?
Well,
not really.
What was the thing? You can remind me.
He was the villain. He was a villain. He was a fake mentor, kind of like Mysterio, but not actually the mentor.
I mean, he raised Tony for like 20 years, basically.
Yeah. But who told him about the icing thing? The icing problem?
Tony figured that out.
Yeah.
And then Tony says, "You haven't figured that icing problem. Icing problem."
Right.
Might want to look into it.
But he brings it up as a thing like you can't do because it will fuck up the machine, and then he uses that eventually to defeat the villain, right?
That's like such a small part of the overall plot that you can say that a good majority of the MCU movies are follow Hamlet, and that's a downfall because Black Panther, but then we have Lion King that follows the same plot, and so many other movies that follow that same narrative too. So it's like, sure, they might, and we're talking over 24 movies. Sure, they're gonna have smaller coincidences where like stuff like that will carry over. But I mean, in terms of overall plot structure and movie structure, they all have their own identity and own tone and everything. I mean, that's
a Nerdman. And dude, guys, fucking Wonder Woman takes notes from Thor and Captain America. Shazam takes notes from Big. Justice League, Zack Snyder's takes notes from the Avengers. Like, if you say that those movies are generic, the DC's even more generic.
The exact same story structure. But anyway, you raise a good point. It's a small part of the movie, but I find it highly noticeable, and it becomes generic, especially when the beats in between almost feel very similar to each other leading up to, you know, the confrontation with the Dark Mirror villain.
Suicide Squad did it too. I thought Diablo killed her Enchantress's brother, right? He went like that super fire mode or whatever that killed his family to kill the brother guy in Suicide Squad. So I mean, you know, they all do it.
Last thing, Enzo, what do you think of Zack Snyder's Justice League, and how do you compare it with the MCU?
Here we go.
Oh boy.
I know why you started with me first. Because I like Justice League.
All I've got, man. It's all I've got. I've been handily worked over this whole thing.
I like Justice League better than Endgame.
Oh shit!
I do.
I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna go.
Enzo,
where does Endgame rank in your overall MCU?
It's in my top 10. It's in my top 10.
So, what do you think is better than Zack Snyder's Justice League in the
MCU?
Yeah.
Infinity War, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Winter Soldier. Wow. Okay.
I love Winter Soldier. Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. What else would I say?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Wow. Okay. I wasn't expecting that.
Absolutely. I hate the second one, but
really?
Yeah, I hate the second Guardians of the Galaxy, but I like the first one. What else could I say?
It's okay. You've given a good. So, like, I'll put it this way. I think Zack Snyder's Justice League, for all of its flaws, which we can discuss. I'm sure you'll have lots of ammunition for it. But I think as a movie, it is really, really different and interesting, and it did make me a little bit excited for comic book movies like this. I was kind of like wanting and waiting for a comic book movie to come out like this that will show like DC that you can go a little bit dark, you can go a little bit grittier, you can be a bit more whatever, and not just copy or ape the MCU. And for me, it was really, really satisfying for it to have achieved that. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say it's better than a bunch of MCU movies. I like it better, but I think that's quite subjective. I think it's got some flaws with that epilogue there. And in terms of is that how the DC really should have put its universe together? Maybe you should have done some solo movies first. But for what it is, I really thoroughly enjoyed it, and I enjoyed moments in it, like for instance the Cyborg, giving the woman the money. I thought that was incredibly moving. That end scene with the Flash running into the Speed Force. I hadn't seen anything like that in a superhero movie before. So
I wouldn't say that, but I would say were good scenes. And for me,
get him Enzo.
Steppenwolf. No. I kind of agree with some of the things he's saying.
I was like, he always says that I've never seen anything like the Flash.
Oh yeah, no. There's many.
Except we've seen it a bunch of times on the TV show, but
But I'm not gonna hate on Justice League, because what they did with Steppenwolf in that movie was 10 times better than what they did with him in the Justice League. Plus, they gave him more of a motivation, and we always talk about the villains having motivation. Steppenwolf in that movie had way more motivation because he was trying to get back home after betraying Darkseid. So his motivations in that movie were very well done.
Yeah. And it didn't have as many plot holes, I would say, as Endgame or Infinity War either. Like really noticeable.
I will not put it against over Infinity War. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, I'm not saying over. I'm not saying over Infinity War. I'm just saying there's plot inconsistencies in Infinity War that aren't as noticeable to me.
When you have 4 hours,
Infinity War is a masterpiece.
Yeah.
So now you guys can roast the Zack Snyder's Justice League.
I liked it.
We'll finish.
I like Zack Snyder's Justice League. So
am I the only one who gave it?
Seth, look, I gave it a 5 out of 10, so I can roast it.
Okay.
I thought it
was very average.
It didn't do anything for me. I'm like, what was the point of this movie? Like, I'm watching this movie, I'm like, I'm glad Zack got his vision or anything. But when people say, oh, I'm excited for superhero movies in the future after this one. What extraordinary thing did it do for like the superhero genre? I mean, like it was just like the bland, boring. Sorry, what you call MCU movies to be bland and boring. I saw it here a lot. I mean, there were points in the Snyder Cut where I'm yawning. I'm like, this is boring and long. Like, I don't need this much exposition for Cyborg. Like, it's cool and it was interesting, but I'm like, really?
Oh, I thought that was really moving. I
thought I loved everything that they. I'm sorry, Nerdman.
No, go for it, Ashley.
I thought that everything that they did with Cyborg, just like Nerdman was moving. I felt. I mean, I felt like I said before. I felt the first half of the movie did drag a little bit.
Yeah,
but I felt like all of that setup that they did with Cyborg, I appreciated it. I enjoyed his character in the movie. When he's and I felt like it was needed because we get to that point when he says, and I'm not broken. So all of those things, all that buildup with Cyborg, him, dealing with his issues with his father, losing his mother, them being, this kind of Frankenstein type monster, and how that made him feel. And then when he gets to that point and he says that line, so all of that stuff I felt was needed for him to get to that point where he realizes, you know what, all I can do is move forward. And I'm not broken. So I felt all of it was needed, Southwick.
I know.
And I'll just say one thing. And it was a 4-hour movie, but it's because it was on HBO Max. If that was going to go into theaters, there's no way they would have made it 4 hours.
It's a 4-hour movie because Zack Snyder doesn't know how to condense himself.
No, I agree with that.
And tell a cohesive story.
No, I agree with that. But
I think there's a 3-hour fantastic movie in that.
Right. If you take
I think they're...
But I don't think it should have been 3 hours.
You can cut out stuff like freaking Barry Allen saving Iris and
I don't think you cut that scene.
I don't think you cut that out.
I would cut that out.
I think that was great.
I don't think you cut it out.
It was a cool scene, but it was
I've never been more with you on something, and I'll get to it.
It was pointless. What did it do for his character?
It showed his connection with Iris.
But it didn't do anything for the overall plot of the movie,
wait.
though.
No. It did. Because if you remember in Josh Whedon's Justice League, he almost just turns up in that prison with his dad, does the stupid scene or whatever, and it feels flat. Whereas because you see how aimless he is in the world, he's going for this job interview. And essentially, he's this really smart guy, and this is all he can get at the moment. It shows specifically where Barry Allen is in the world at that moment, which makes the scene with his dad later on, where he says, "You're running in place, you're doing all of these things for me. Just get on with your life." That much more powerful. If you don't see that before, you don't get that real heartfelt moment. And let's throw a little bit of action into it to make it more thrilling. I think that was a good idea. Show what the Flash can do as well, while revealing, hey, this is what he's up to at the moment.
But first of all, I didn't get all that from what you said in the video. But then I just don't buy that. I don't buy it. I see it as another excuse for Zack Snyder to use slow-mo and another character to shove into the movie and to make the runtime longer. And I have no problem with the runtime, but I just think that it was a bit.
To quote Wonder Woman, it's all those things, but so much more. Yes, it is another reason for Zack Snyder to rank to himself with the slow motion.
Daddy loves her slow motion too, though. I get so tired of that little argument about him using slow mo. I mean, he's not the only DC director that uses it and can overly use it. But Patty does it. It's cool.
I would have rather had those 5 minutes on more of the first time Darkseid came to Earth, the battle scene or whatever. You guys know what I'm talking about with the gods. I would have rather seen more of that than what we got.
Can I ask all of you a question? How would you have graded? Do you think you would have graded the movie differently if you'd never seen Josh Whedon's Justice League?
Yes, that was
and you just
100%. It would have been worse.
It might have been, but also I wouldn't say I could care less, because I feel like maybe that the thing with that film is that it's a dead movie in a dead universe.
Exactly what it
So
But
even
taking a
though it's a
movie
good
in and of
movie,
itself.
I know, but I'm a universe gal. It's a dead movie in a dead universe, and then that's why another thing when you bring up the epilogue, I don't know why you recorded this additional scene. I mean, yeah, for you because you wanted to hopefully carry it on, but here is this movie, and now we have these tie-ins, and you set all this stuff up, and nothing. There's no payoff.
Mm-hmm.
There's no payoff to it.
Well, that's why I think they should do a payoff. That's why I'm saying the management of DC is terrible.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't impact my enjoyment of the individual movies, and I truly enjoyed that movie. And as I said, I'm not going to sit here and say Zack Snyder's Justice League is better than Endgame or Infinity War or anything like that because of the achievement that they were. They were such an achievement that
you don't find yourself. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just trying to go away from the DC versus MCU.
No, because
I think you guys have done fantastically in defending the MCU.
I wasn't here.
Nerdman, you know what I'm thinking right now.
But all I'm saying is that doesn't bother you that all of these things are set up in this movie, and then you have all these questions, and then you're not going to get the answers. That doesn't affect your score for the film or how you feel about it at all.
That it's not connected to it. Sorry, I'm reading this and listening to you at the same time.
Not that it's not connected. That even if it's just a standalone film, and we get the Snyder his vision, and then we see Martian Manhunter say, "Next time I'll be involved." Well, there's no fucking next time. It's not going to happen. That's all I'm saying. These things that they set up in this movie to continue on, that doesn't affect you.
That for me isn't a critique of the movie. That's a critique of DC's management. That's a critique of Warner Brothers management. And not, again, like
Nerdman.
But these things were added into the movie, though.
You know what Snyder's thinking when he goes in his backyard and shoots an entire desert scene and a scene with Green Lantern. Like his hopes and wishes are to continue this, and he keeps
I would like him to in a controlled situation.
But there's no point though. Like it's like what Ashley said, it's a dead movie and a dead franchise. We should have just gotten the straightened movie, no epilogue. Just here's
but I loved it still. I still jumped out my seat when Flash did that thing and with the Speed Force. I still
jump out of your seat when you saw that shitty ass thing.
Okay, Nerdman, this is perfect. Why did you jump out of your seat when Flash time traveled?
Oh boy.
What was the reason? Like, why did you love that scene?
He's got me in there.
Because you didn't jump out of your seat when Cat picked up Mjolnir. It's only because of your prior knowledge of Flash from the comics. They did not build that scene up in the movie well enough.
No, that's completely different. I thought you were going.
It's because you love the Flash.
No,
it's something that you've always wanted to see.
Mjolnir, right?
Marvel's better.
He was the way Captain America picked up or got Mjolnir was silly. I don't mind Captain America getting Mjolnir. Because why would he know? Why would he know he could do that with Mjolnir? I don't know why he.
Because of Age of Ultron. Because Age of Ultron.
That's a really weak kind of.
No, it's not.
He did not pick up the hammer in Age of Ultron. He was unable to pick it up.
It was confirmed. It was confirmed that he could pick it up, and he didn't. He chose not to.
He was
Daddy Feige.
Yep.
Oh, okay. So Feige tells you, so then that makes it okay. For that's not in the film.
They explain the moment that you see it
outside. So I have to read the newspaper, the local magazines, or whatever to be able to figure out what's going on in the film.
You could see because the reason why Feige said that is because once he did it, the whole argument was like, oh, well, after Civil War, once he, told Tony the truth, that then he was worthy, that he was that everybody thought, oh, he was kind of worthy. And that's why he was able to budget in Age of Ultron. The reason why then came out and said that is because there was because people were having the debate. Oh, it was because of Civil War. And once he told the truth, he was able to completely lift it. So that is why Feige came out and said, well, no, he was always able to do this because there was this inner
Feige
debate.
told you that. I get Feige said that.
But there was an inner debate. But there was a debate.
Snyder who did
that. In Age of Ultron,
Snyder did that.
He was
you would annihilate him.
In Age of we already see that him do these things. He budgets it in Age of Ultron. So even if Feige does not say that, it's not out of the possibility that he's able to do this.
I'll explain what Ashley. I can explain more. Nerdman, we watch these movies as comic fans. You have the knowledge that Flash can time travel. In the movie, they don't set it up.
Yes,
the only reason it's believable.
Yes, they do. They set it up when he's going to.
I can mess with time.
No.
That's all he
they
says.
Set it up with the cube. Basically, when they're resurrecting Superman, he runs and he goes to touch the cube, and for a second he does turn back time, and you see that visually. It is set up, but that is part of.
I did not see that. The editing.
I didn't see it either.
I did.
It's in there.
He missed. He screws up the paired the
who goes into the water.
So
and then,
1 second.
So
1 second is supposed to. I'm going to remember that when he goes back in time. I'm saying the reason that moment worked is because of your prior knowledge.
It's in the same movie.
If you know,
It's
in the comics, you can't just be kind of worthy or worthy. You can't just budge it. You either pick it up or you can't. So when he moved it, everyone knew he can pick it up.
Wait,
it's not like you can budget. You either pick it up or you can't. You can't just budget in the comics. And and that one little, maybe I just missed it. It was a blink and miss it. I'm not freaking rewatching that movie. Maybe they did kind of set it up, but that's setting it. That's if you say that the moment with Mjolnir is stupid, but the Flash moment isn't. That's just hypocritical.
It's not hypocritical because I've just established why it's set up in the movie. It's set up in the movie before. It's clear.
By 1 second. 1 second of screen time.
They're trying to set up.
And
One Flash is able to do these things. Mjolnir, the thing with Mjolnir,
and then Mjolnir was set up in Age of Ultron.
The thing that I'm saying about Mjolnir that is silly for me is that he calls Mjolnir. If Mjolnir was next to him and he's fighting Thanos and he's just desperate and he
picks it up
and he grabs Mjolnir and he figures out, holy shit, like I can do this.
That he could do
and then
it
suddenly
Nerdman.
Yes, he did. Steve Rogers knew that he could pick it up.
Yes, he did.
So,
Nerdman, it's a feeling. It's like riding a bike. You can just do it. How do you ride a bike? You just do it. Once you're worthy, you just do it. He can't explain it. He doesn't know how to summon lightning. He just does it because he's worthy. Like it's not that complicated.
Wait, let's think about this. All right. So Steve.
I want to get back to the Flash hamburger scene
from Age of Ultron. Steve could always do this.
Yeah.
Has he got? No, he didn't have an opportunity to actually use Mjolnir before.
No, he didn't.
Thor went to space. All right. Yeah. Anyway,
but can we get back to the quality of this damn movie, which is not great? I'm with Sathwick completely on this.
It's just boring.
And it's boring.
Nerdman.
Really
that Enzo, Ashley, Nerdman, that beautiful scene where the Flash saves Iris is a terrible, terrible scene. Yeah. And Nerdman knows why I think that.
Explain.
Okay, so I'll try to make this quick. It's a scene to set up the Flash being heroic, maybe some action, give him an introduction with him and Iris. It's all nice. I agree fundamentally on paper with that scene. But instead of having a trucker just run a red light, crash into or something, they literally had a man eating a hamburger, a man with a CDL, a driver of an 18-wheeler drops a hamburger in the floorboard. And instead of saying, okay, I'm going to wait till I get to a stop sign to grab my hamburger, he keeps one hand on the wheel and grabs for his hamburger like it's a Popeye cartoon and it fucking hits this woman and would have murdered her if the Flash wasn't next door. He's going, you see his hand grabbing for the hamburger for like 30 seconds. He's driving down the highway grabbing at a hamburger.
I love the way everyone's laughing at this.
Because they know I'm right. It's one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in a comic movie.
That is a side character. That is a side character.
Don't even go there.
It is silly.
It's a little bit silly. It's a side character in a comic book movie.
It belongs in Thor Ragnarok. That's where it belongs
in. It's a side character in a comic book movie. Compare this to the stupidity that happens in, say, something like Thor Ragnarok or Endgame.
Nope, you can't do that.
Yes, you can.
Nope.
Yes, you can.
Because that's the tone of that movie. This movie's trying to be an emotional drama.
Spider-Man giving the glasses to
Nerd man, that's not
absolutely
on the
doesn't make sense. It's idiotic. There's so many different moments like that.
That's in character.
So many different.
Wait, nerd man, no. I have to eviscerate him. I have to eviscerate him right now.
And how do you know it's not in character for the truck driver? We know nothing about the truck driver. It might be in character for him. Maybe he's a little bit dim.
This is a universe.
What do you know about the truck driver? This is a universe where it's dramatic, it's dark, and it's realistic. And then you get a scene from Thor Ragnarok. It doesn't compute with me. If it was in a comedy movie, maybe. But this is Zack Snyder's Justice League, where everything is dark and gritty and real. And Zack Snyder's like, oh, Batman would kill in the real world. Zack Snyder himself talks about this universe is the real world. And a guy with a CDL with an 18-wheeler is grabbing at a hamburger. And then the Flash fucking grabs a hot dog out of midair and smiles and strokes her hair. It's a terrible, terrible scene. Takes me completely out of the fucking movie. A terrible scene. I hate that scene. Dude, same thing. Look, I'm just, and we're gonna.
Somebody tell me I'm wrong.
We're gonna end this like literally here. So we'll have our last words on each of these things, dude. There's so much stupid. There's so much stupid in all of in Infinity War and Endgame alone.
Why does Superman wear his black suit in Justice League? That was kind of stupid.
We don't have enough time for all these questions. Just trying to get away from the facts that we're spitting.
That was just an Easter egg. There's nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong with it.
The blue suit was right there.
It's a callback to the comics. I have no issues with that.
I do. I mean,
I have more of an issue that he's still wearing it when he does.
No, it makes you wonder, Enzo, because the blue and red suit is the suit that his father gave him. You're going to be the symbol of hope to the earth. It's not just Captain America upgrading his suit. Like, it's intrinsic to who he is, his suit. It was the suit given to him by his father. And then now he just randomly picks the black one.
Yes.
I can deal with it because it's the comic book thing. Like, if the MCU did it, I'd probably let it slide because they've done so many things right. So I can forgive it. But because the movie has so many inconsistencies, I will not forgive it. We don't have enough time to destroy this movie, Nerd Man. You were trying to end this stream because you know I'm about to eviscerate this movie.
No, at least MCU.
Dude, I'm doing it for your sakes, ending this stream. Not like because you're losing or anything.
I'm gonna have a hemorrhage if I go over this movie. How many
you have lives to lead? But anyway, the point was I don't want to go back again and talk about all the stupidity that I mentioned in Infinity War and Endgame. But like, compared to the hamburger scene, the whole fucking thing about time travel and what they do with time travel is just incomparable. I mean, these are main characters doing this. Main characters being able to do things that it's established in the film that they shouldn't be able to do, or or contradicting themselves or acting. I don't know. Look,
Nerd
again,
Man, you want an answer, Nerd Man?
Lost me there.
It's Loki.
Sorry, I know. It's because I'm trying to cover the whole thing because I don't want to go specific again. Otherwise, we'll be going.
This Loki show's gonna come in. Hopefully, give us a proper explanation for time travel because we see it on TV and the branch timelines and everything. Just give us something definitive. End the chapter with time travel there and never talk about it ever again. That's all they.
The chapter with time travel is not going to end.
Oh, well, I mean,
Conqueror is coming.
Yeah, after that. Yeah, after King. And then multiverse.
All right, guys. I've done my absolute best. We've covered like pretty much everything. Final words, and then we'll leave the stream. Anything final to say? Any
regardless of how it ends, MCU will always be better than DC.
I still enjoy the DC quite a bit. I enjoy the MCU quite a bit, and I'm happy for anybody who enjoys movies. Like,
I enjoy DC.
Whichever ones you like. At least it's fun to come on and debate about them. It's all silly in the end.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Like I said, I think that if the quality of the Dark Knight trilogy, Watchmen, I think that it equals out the MCU. But I think
V for Vendetta,
I think
there's a lot
I haven't
more
seen it, but
there.
if it's as good as people say it is, the comic is, then that alone equals it out for me. I think if I was going to ask you guys this earlier, if you had to drop, like, never watch these movies again, you could never watch the MCU or you could never watch DCEU movies or just DC movies, which one would you
I'll
guys
drop
pick?
the MCU easily.
DC.
I would drop DC.
The MCU has done
Ashley?
so much for me.
I can't believe. I can't
So
believe
Ashley,
you're saying this.
you can never watch The Dark Knight Rises again.
Yeah,
You never have had the Dark Knight.
But then I'll never get to see Iron Man.
I agree. I also picked
never
Marvel.
get to see the Avengers.
Oh my
and
god! Oh my god!
Dude,
I can't.
it would be
even
hard
believe
to not
it.
watch The Dark Knight.
Nerd Man,
The Dark
just
Knight's
as
the
much
best.
as you love these characters, because you read them. I read outside of Batman. I didn't read a lot of DC. Okay, everything that I read was Marvel. So my connection comes from the stories that I love. So Iron Man is my second favorite character. I'm not giving up on that Iron Man movie. I'm not giving up on I'm not giving up on Avengers. I can't. But I do want to say, I don't think the DC is trash. I like to talk shit, a lot, and mess with Nerd Man here. And my DC counterparts that, that I talk with on stream. But I love a lot of DC. I love Michael Keaton's Batman. I love. I mean, to me, Michelle Pfeiffer is the best Catwoman ever. I love Catwoman. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. But I don't care about the DCEU a whole lot. But there are things that are there. Wonder Woman 2017 is a good movie. I even like Aquaman. But the ones that I think are shit, I think they're shit. And the shittiest ones don't come close to the mediocre ones in the MCU. And that's the point that I make.
Yeah, but again, we're going to argue over like the best ones. What they
I know. I'm just saying, to me, I'm not trying to get into it. I'm not trying to get into a debate. I was making a statement.
No, I know. So let's not go there. But I was going to say that one thing that
he wants to debate.
You're the one that wanted to I'm not. I was making a comment.
No, I came here like really open. I wanted to hear what.
No, just now I'm talking about what you just said.
Just now, yeah, you wanted
just
to.
Now you were like,
yeah,
you like that wasn't a debate. That was my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: I never come into a debate wanting to win the debate. That's not my that's not my kind of thing. I just want to. I like having these conversations. I genuinely do. So it's not for me. The important thing isn't winning. It's like I just enjoy doing it. But I was going to say one thing, like an answer to somebody. I do think if you take away Justice League and watch Zack Snyder's Justice League by itself, I think it was Blue. I can't remember, Blue Swan or Blue Arrow. Pardon me. If you watch that movie, like imagining you'd never watched the Justice League, I think a lot more of those moments would have hit. I think some of the stuff Aquaman did, like surfing on the parademons and his little fight there, because people think Aquaman didn't do anything in Zack Snyder's Justice League, but that's only because he kind of saw it before in Josh Whedon's version, so it doesn't have the same impact. So yeah, I think for those reasons, it would have hit a lot better if we had I wish I had never seen the Josh Whedon version and just watched the Zack Snyder one.
Well,
we all wish that we did not.
I didn't answer that question, but I think I would have liked Justice League just as much if I didn't see Josh Whedon's.
I might have liked it more because I was expecting the Snyder cut to be narratively more of a different story from 2017 cut, and in terms of the overall story, I got the same thing, and that's what I feel like. So like maybe I would have liked the Snyder cut more if I hadn't seen the Whedon cut, but
that's fair.
Yeah,
I don't, because there would have been scenes in there, just like the mundane scenes that I was like, I've seen this before, that we we would have experienced for the first time. But I will say, almost every review I've ever seen of this movie, the first thing they say is, "This is a lot better than that trash 2017 movie." So, like, maybe you're comparing it to that movie and it looks better because that movie was such trash. So
Right.
I don't know the answer. I don't know. All I know is the Dark Knight trilogy reigns supreme over all of this. I want DC movies. I want DC and Marvel to thrive. I want a great Green Lantern movie, Aquaman, Batman, Iron Man, Captain America, all of them. I don't want it to be an argument. I just love to debate Nerdman.
Yeah, and I just want the DC to have its own identity, but make good movies rather than like these divisive movies. Like, again, MCU, what it does is wonderful. I think, in terms of like building up to these events and the movies in between, they're not horrible. Some of them I don't like, but like none of them to me are like horrible, whatever. But I'd like DC to just keep its own identity. Just maybe choosing a better, person than Zack Snyder to direct that. Anyway, so that's me, guys. Thanks so much for joining me today. Really, really impressed by all of your arguments, and I have a lot to think about. And apart from that,
watch some Marvel movies.
No, I was watching some Marvel movies just before I came on the stream, and it's interesting. I watched Thor. I watched Black Panther. And what other one did I watch? There was one more I watched like yesterday or something. But Thor I didn't like. I liked less, but Black Panther I liked a little bit more from rewatching it. So there you go. So apart from that, guys, I'll see you on the flip side, and I love you 3000. Peace.
Hey.